I wanted to ask you about like the awkward party Wojak. Did you repopularize that, or were you just like memeing yourself?
So you can't do something that relies on someone else. You can't do something that is too easy to be like, oh, what if I'm bugging so-and-so to help me do this video this week? You got to get that out of your head. Maybe I wanted to be late to work. Maybe I wanted to get yelled at. Maybe I wanted to get pushed up against this wall to a point where my only option was to let go of the job and go headfirst into YouTube. I feel like that comes from bad writing. You write stuff purposely vague with no hidden meaning, and therefore you don't have the foresight to be able to see how this could be interpreted. If you want to make change with these things and all you really have is the virality and the noise that you can make on Twitter, like annoying as it is, you really do got to treat it like it's the end of the world.
What do you think of the memes of 2020? Is this better or worse than previous years?
Hey, welcome to The Create Unknown. I am Kevin Lieber. This is the home of Make Something Mean Something. We are live on Discord right now with all sorts of folks. In the chat, we have our patrons, we have our dumpster crew, our $2 tots, our infantry, our illustrious baby gang. We are here every Wednesday night because Wednesday night is TCU night. As always, I'm here with Matthew Tabor, who's going to tell you a little bit about our guest.
If you consider yourself a person of culture, a discriminating connoisseur of the internet, you will wake up, check Twitter, and see a Morning Gamers tweet from SumitoMedia. He's a sort of Michelin-starred chef of the meme, one of those personalities who can cook up something topical with his own unique spin or evaluate the others expertly in a way that's just a cut above what you can do. His meme-saturated humor and internet culture commentary shows up on YouTube's This Week in Memes, Twitch streams, Twitter, and on his Spodcast. With the year's biggest gaming title having come out about a week ago, this is Cyberpunk 2077. Sumito, what do you think about the game's customizable penis options?
Thank you so much for that introduction. And honestly, I don't think it's enough. Regular and large? Are you joking? Do you understand how many different penises there exist? Just in my memory banks, there's at least 3 more. It's absurd. They really cheaped out in the weirdest places.
What would you have done differently then? I assume this is a sort of dream job for somebody who has content like yours. Like if you could be the full-time penis customizer for a company, a gaming company, wouldn't you consider that a dream job?
I mean, I don't know if I'd consider it a dream job, but I feel like with my wheelhouse of expertise, I could have implemented a better system for customized penises. I really, because here's the thing. They already have the technology for you to take a picture of your face in any NBA game and then you become one of the players. Why not just transfer that over? The game's already rated M. Send a dick pic to Cyberpunk 2077 on Snapchat. And then your penis becomes your characteristic. Oh. We have the technology. Like, you see they dropped the ball, dude.
So that's interesting. You think that you should be able to have your own ported into the game seamlessly.
I feel like if you're going to take the time to make marketing material on your 1 million follower social media, like you got to come in guns blazing, you know? You can't just give me a slider that only slides between 2 options. What is this, Oblivion? Like, come on, man. Skyrim had more choices.
Here's where I'm at. So I've also been playing the game and was really excited to see what the options were. And if we're just going to get straight to it, there are 2 main penis options, right? So you have circumcised or uncircumcised, but there's only like 1 vagina option. And there really are 2 distinct vagina types, innie and outie. Why was that not represented? If I was a female player of Cyberpunk, at the very least, you should have had 2 vagina options.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like not having the same number of options between the traditionally male and female genitalia was why even put it in? Why even make it a thing? You know what I mean? Like, imagine if we made a video game where, you know, it's like a podcast simulator and we make a huge deal about you being able to pick whatever kind of haircut you want in your avatar as you host this podcast in this video game. And your options are between like blonde and dreadlocks, and that's it. It's like, you guys didn't even really cover the spectrum with this thing that you took the time to put in here, man. This is odd.
I've got a question for both of you as somebody who hasn't played this game, who's unlikely to play this game anytime soon. In terms of the gameplay, how often do you see your genitalia? Like what's happening in this game so that you would see that level of detail on your character's nude body? How does this come up?
I think it's one of those things where, you know, it's like the dragons in Skyrim, right? It's not something that you're going to bump into every single time you boot up the game. But it's one of those things that when you do bump into that experience, you really want it to be memorable. You know what I mean? If you're playing through Skyrim and you bump into a dragon and it's just sort of like derping around, it hasn't turned hostile because the AI hasn't noticed you, and you got to kind of poke it with a stick before it flies up in the air and does all its dragon stuff, you'd be like, this is what is this even? This isn't a dragon. This is a disappointment. I haven't reached a point in Cyberpunk where I've seen my own penis outside of going out of my way to stare at my own penis. But when I do bump into a cutscene where somebody's like, hey, whip it out, this is how you progress in this mission, I'm going to be excited.
Is there a Fuss Roda equivalent in Cyberpunk? They could, you know, add some kind of DLC there where you have some sort of really dramatic moment such as that from Skyrim.
Yeah, you can only use it once every 45 minutes real time, though.
The last time I was into games, and I've mentioned this too many times on the podcast, I was a subscriber of Nintendo Power Magazine, okay? It's been a while.
Sure.
You guys are talking about seeing wieners in games, about choosing wiener features, about dragons flying around and being, you know, better than the last thing. And like, I just remember Super Mario Brothers 2 being panned because it was like junky on graphics. Like that's the area. It's so weird to hear you guys talk about this kind of detail about this game, and everybody's doing it. You know, my Twitter feed has obviously been filled with Cyberpunk stuff. Does that add to or generate any fatigue for you guys as game players?
I think if I wasn't a Twitch streamer and sort of felt obligated to play this and experience it for what it is rather than sort of how it's perceived, then maybe I would think twice about throwing my last $60 at a game that might not be what it's been hyped up to be in my head. But playing the game has been one entirely different experience than like perceiving what the game is if I were to only take a look at how social media's talking about it online. Because if you don't play the game, and I feel like most of the people who are sort of ragging on it really aggressively probably haven't dropped into the game, because while it definitely is buggy, like it feels like you installed the game wrong, really, is what it feels like. It feels like you get an hour into it and it's like, I must have moved a file somewhere it shouldn't have been, because these cars are weightless and this guy's hand is in the back of his head. None of this seems right. But then once you start, you know, shooting stuff and you start like, you want to compare it to like Grand Theft Auto 5, but like you can actually go into the buildings and you can actually customize certain stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, this is like a slight improvement over this game that's drained hundreds of hours of my life from 7 years ago. I mean, that alone makes it a better use of my time now.
Matt,
or at least that's how I look at it.
What is the name of those? Is it 4chan that has those memes of really embarrassing stories?
Oh, green text. Yeah,
that's what it's called.
And that is 4chan, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this morning's Morning Gamers was a green text, wasn't it?
Okay. Green text.
It usually is.
I want to see, there's got to be, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but some sort of green text story of somebody booting up the game for the first time with, you know, a prospective partner or with their parents or something in the room, and then getting to the genital options portion.
Absolutely.
Because it's so weird. Matt, when you were talking about like how games were, and I'm thinking of, you know, like my parents watching me play Sega Genesis or whatever, I can't imagine how awkward that situation would be, not knowing that was a thing, because unless you're in the memes, unless you're on, you know, permanently online like we are, and we know the meme of the genital options and you're just playing the game for the first time, you're just creating your character like any other game, choosing their hairstyle and, altering their nose. And then all of a sudden you get to the bottom.
Yeah.
There's no way that hasn't produced some extremely awkward situations.
No, you're absolutely right. I would bet money it has.
It's M for mature for a reason.
It's M for multiple penis options.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat 1 was M for mature. And by today's standards, it was like absolutely nothing.
We need more letters. Yeah.
It's insane. But speaking of memes, I wanted to ask you about the, what do you call it? Like the awkward party Wojak?
Don't know, or I wish I was home is the original one.
Yeah.
Did you? I watched your video talking about that. Did you repopularize that, or were you just like memeing yourself?
I wish I had that power, dude. Holy shit! I definitely see why you could say that, because when I have examples of memes that I know are, I guess I should. So to explain a little bit, I don't script most things in my videos. For the most part, I rely pretty heavily on the knowledge that I gain from just browsing social media and experiencing it organically versus taking a look at either other people's videos or written articles on something like knowyourmeme.com that likes to sort of archive how these memes come about, progress, and what new variations there are. And I do that because I think I have a better grip of doing comedy and sort of being this very low budget talk show TV host, improvisationally than I do if I sort of scripted everything. So if I know that I'm going to do something ahead of time, and I'm talking like 24, 48 hours, I'll ping my Discord server and I'll go, hey, I'm doing Cyberpunk memes. I think Bill Cosby did something stupid. And then whatever Ninja's been bitching about on Twitter. If you guys have any examples of any of that, drop it in this channel. And naturally, a lot of them will be just making fun of me in one way or another. So sort of as a byproduct of the way that I farm and harvest the memes that I then produce for these videos, a lot of them end up with my face in it.
Oh, yeah. Because I heard that you said it was an old meme. I didn't know it before. I've just seen it pop up all the time now, and I think it's very funny. It's very relatable. The original having been that person, just being awkward at a party.
The original meme is literally just that. It's just I think the doomer specifically sitting in a corner of a room, and all it says is, I wish I was home right now. In the corner of a party, I mean. And all it says is, I wish I was home right now. And I can't think of a situation where I've been out of my house where that hasn't been my first thought, like an hour into the event. I've been at a nightclub, I've been at a strip club, I've been at a party that was relatively enjoyable. And every time it's like, dude, I've got like there's internet at home. Like, what am I doing here? I hate this.
Why did I leave the house feeling?
Yeah, it's unnecessary. I guess it's not unnecessary, but it's like, I feel like you really have to have like a sense of escapism to not want to be at your computer. Like, have you guys tried the internet? Like, there's a lot of stuff on there, dude. Like, you get lost on that thing.
Isn't that just a personality thing, though?
Yeah.
Like an introversion thing. I mean, I know that they always say that, extroverts get antsy and they get bored and they get depressed when they don't have the ability to socialize. And it sounds like you're the opposite of that.
But I feel like I don't know if socialize is the word you want to use for like that specific situation, because like right now we're being extroverted, right? You and I are in a podcast that's going to be seen and heard by thousands of people. We want our ideas broadcasted and to be able to hear people respond to that. And even if you're the type of person who wants to go out to a club with your friends, right? You don't want to necessarily have a conversation with anybody there. Right?
Oh, plenty of people do. Yeah, man, that's what they do. Do you not know any extroverts?
It's possible the answer to that question is no. That's definitely possible. But like, I've even been like in a line to get into a bar, and there have been no more than 8 people in that line. And I've been like, I hope I don't bump into any of you guys. You guys all seem too excited for what's about to be obnoxiously loud music and overpriced drinks. Like, why am I here?
Oh, well, man. I have a question that I want to ask you, but it requires me to inflate your ego first, and I don't really want to do that.
I don't want to go down that road. Compliments either. So I mean, go for it, and then if you don't knock me down a peg, I'll knock me down a peg.
Okay. So I've known you a little while, probably a year now, right?
Yeah.
And
No, 6 months. 6 months. Come on.
has it been? No. It's been more.
I'm knocking me
'Cause I've
down a
been-
peg. That probably wasn't the right place. Sorry, go
I
on.
see. Okay. I'll say I've been a patron longer than 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so like, I know who you are and kind of how you think about stuff. And anybody who's just listening to you now for the first time can tell that you're thoughtful, you consider what you're saying, you're an intelligent guy, you're extremely creative, all of this stuff. Okay. How, with all of these creative qualities and, kind of the subset of mind related things that could take you in any direction, how do you wind up with memes? That's really what I want to know here is you could have gone any direction. You're pretty much pointed toward memes. How?
So I have to give a little bit of sort of maybe like my beginning story of getting started on YouTube and stuff. I feel like that's the best way to answer this question. So I was working at an electronics store and I hated going to college, basically. I'm like,
Okay.
Showing up to class like once every 4 months to take a test or something. And it's like, I just didn't enjoy it because like I was in community college for like 5 years, bouncing between trying to do an engineering degree and working full time. And
Okay. That was my question, is what we were studying there.
Yeah, electrical engineering. And
Okay.
after
That's
3 years of community college, I had done 2 years worth of credits. But I got rejected from the school I wanted to get into because engineering requirements, as I'm sure you guys are familiar, are quite difficult. As somebody who isn't naturally skilled in maths, that is far from my strong suit. So 3 years turned into 3.5 years, and then I applied again, and I got rejected again. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'm not doing well here. Like, I'm not going to get an A in advanced or applied calculus or whatever it was. Like, I'm just not. I flunked the first time. I got a C the second time. I'm not going to get an A the third time and this go well for me. So I switched from electrical engineering to computer science, which is still technically in the engineering school, but for the sake of transferring, it's a general credit. So the bar is way lower, and then I get accepted. And so I go in as an engineer and I have to take Calc 2, right? Whatever the next class is. And obviously I was like, there's no fucking way I'm going to do this right. And now the classes cost me like $3,500 to take twice. And, as with any transfer, they were like, hey, yeah, so you took, the freshman and sophomore year courses, but like only 60% of them actually count. You took a Java class that doesn't have C++, so you also have to take this class in the summer so that you get your C++ credit. Basically, in order to become a junior at the school, you're going to have to take another 1.5 years of credits. So I was looking at having been in college and taking classes for the better part of 6 years to become a junior. And at that point, I was like, this isn't fun. Even if I do finish this, I'm gonna have a degree in either computer science or computer engineering if I really go the extra mile. And then I'm like the IT guy making anime jokes at the water cooler at a firm. Like this doesn't seem like a good end goal for me. So I was like, so I got to start doing YouTube. At this point, I had uploaded something like 100 videos over the course of 8 years. Some of them were just no edited Minecraft Let's Plays. Some of them were more thoughtful, like laptop and technology reviews. Since I worked at the equivalent of like a Best Buy, I managed to talk one of my nicer managers into letting me, borrow like a piece of equipment that a customer had returned. And then so long as I brought it back by the end of the day, it was still in inventory. And they had like all sorts of paperwork that was like, to check something out. So I had a bit of an in. I was like, cool, I can get expensive laptops and cameras that I wouldn't be able to buy otherwise, borrow it for a day, make a little review. I could be the next Austin Evans. Who knows? Didn't work out that way, naturally. So I was like, I was doing that.
Well,
and
I want to stop you real quick. In a way, it did work out because we just had Austin Evans on a couple weeks ago, and now we have you on.
That's true.
So,
that's why I said him instead of MKBHD. Yeah.
You're literally one of the next after Austin Evans.
That's true.
Hey, we're gonna get Marquez on the show when he stops hanging out with Obama for 2 seconds.
I just saw that.
Yes.
So I bumped into a bunch of roadblocks. So my manager, who was nice enough to let me borrow stuff, moved to Ohio. He got a promotion, became like the head manager at a different store. And the head manager in my store hated me. It's partially because I didn't do a great job at work and I'd show up several hours late, several days out of the week. But I think maybe he just didn't enjoy the fact that I was young and trying to make something out of myself, is what I would tell myself as I clocked in late for the third time that week. And then I also simultaneously had a side channel that's yet to see the light of day, where me and my buddy would just do, just like lazy vlogger content. we'd buy all the Halloween candy at a Target and taste test it and be like, oh, we're going to go fucking viral. That didn't work out. But between my buddy not always being available to record and me not always being able to do hardware, I was like, okay, if I want to do YouTube, I have to be able to upload every week. Like, just as a contingency to myself in order to keep me from being lazy. I was Casey Neistatting myself, right? He did daily vlogs in order to get the laziness and excuses out of his life. I wanted to do the same. So I was like, so you can't do something that relies on someone else. You can't do something that is too easy to be like, oh, what if I'm bugging so-and-so to help me do this video this week? You got to get that out of your head. And you can't do videos that rely on hardware or like, you have to be able to sit at your computer Sunday night, if somehow you're busy 6 days out of the week, and put out a piece of content that somebody's going to find entertaining and watchable Monday morning. Like, so I was like, okay, so what can I do that's nothing but me and my resources? And so I bounced between the idea of doing music reviews, and at this point, PewDiePie's meme review was at the height of its popularity. So I was like, or meme reviews, because I was like, while PewDiePie does a good job with meme reviews in that he reviews the memes, I don't feel like he does a very good job at sort of opening the door, like unhooking the velvet rope to let you into the exclusive club of enjoying the meme. This is kind of hard to describe, but I felt like at that point in time, if you watched one of PewDiePie's videos and you learned about a meme from one of his videos, you still felt like an outsider, because he would show all these memes, explain the meme, and then explain why he hated the meme. And then before you even get a chance to really enjoy it, you already feel like, oh, I missed out on that. And I felt like there was a piece of that where you could instead be like, hey, here's what the meme is, here's what I enjoy about it, and then just leave it open-ended to the point of like, I haven't seen all of them. You haven't seen all of them. Nobody's seen all of them. Let's go find them together, sort of thing. So I took that sort of mentality, added my own knowledge. Like, I specifically looked at memes that I felt like I had a knowledge of, in either the origin of this meme was from way too long ago. There's no fucking way you were looking at the small 60 subscriber subreddit where this meme started, but I had, because I had no fucking life, so I knew exactly where it came from. I'd seen the anime, I'd seen the movies, I've played the video game. Trust me, I'll give you the backstory on this. And then from there, it just vibed with my personality too well. I did that for 3 videos a week for like 6 months straight at a period of time. And aside from losing a bunch of sleep and being tired all the time, I never got tired of doing the actual content, which I would do when I was doing like Minecraft Let's Plays or technology video, like doing B-roll on a laptop. You can be the most tech nerdy guy in the world. Like, that is boring fucking work, dude. Like, that is not satisfying to do.
That's kind of similar, Kevin, to you talking about how like your internship and like the desk job you had after that, and just not really feeling it, right?
Yeah. It's fascinating because I do think, not everybody has the same story, obviously, but of how they kind of ended up doing YouTube. But it's definitely a type, and I am definitely the same type. And whatever that type is, I don't know what you call it. But I also tried to do, I don't know, for lack of a better term, a normal job where you go 9 to 5 and, you work your way up the corporate ladder. And it was horrible for me. I felt like I was dying. Like, it's such a weird exaggeration to say that, but I literally, I kept having to go to the bathroom. Like, I was like physiologically ill there, which sounds did it make so you ridiculous.
Number 1, number 2, or both?
Number 1.
What type of?
No. It was number 1. I just kept feeling this insatiable urge to pee, and I didn't have to go.
Number two is only for vloggers, Matt.
I mean, I think when most people feel stress, it's like intestinal stress, like that. Like you got like piss anxiety from this job.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, I probably went to the bathroom every half an hour.
Whoa.
I was going to say
serious.
That physical sickness caused by like emotional distress is very much a real thing. Pissing every half hour, you should see a doctor, but that is real. That is not, and it's not an exaggeration, I don't think, to say that you felt like you were dying. Like, I remember the first few weeks after feeling like I had some traction, and I think this is after I recorded my first collaboration with the Internet Historian. There's a huge gap between me recording it and it actually going out. But I remember that days where I would just sort of make up excuses to not do something. Like, it doesn't need to be do a video in one sitting, but if you're not even scrolling through Twitter, trying to experience what everybody's excited about that week to try and get into the know of what would make for a good recapping video that week. Like, I felt sick. Like, I felt bummed out, like really sad that, I would take times to sort of, romanticize the idea of what happens if it all works out and you get to do this for a living, but then I hadn't put any work towards it. And it's like, well, that's the only thing that's going to push you forward, is to take that step out of your comfort zone into the danger zone, and try and pursue this thing. Because that's the only way to do it. This sort of stuff doesn't fall in your lap. You might get a random promotion, you might get a random job opportunity that projects you forward in the business world. But, outside of Jennifer Lawrence getting scouted from a random photographer in the middle of New York and then ending up in the Hunger Games, like, you don't end up in creative roles unless you show that you're a creative person.
And willing to put in that work, really. Willing to do it kind of for free, honestly, until eventually someone is willing to pay you for it. That seems to be the case more often than not. But yeah, I just felt like a clown, like wearing my khakis and polo shirt and going in there and pretending like I wanted to live that way. And it was a great job, in air quotes, to everybody else and to most people. I get it, but I would have rather, and I did, just go back to working in like smelly kitchens and restaurants and like hauling slop buckets around at clubs. I liked that so much more because, I don't know, there were no expectations of how I was supposed to look and how I was supposed to act. And it was just a lot less pressure. And, those jobs gave me the freedom to like you said, work on creative projects outside of work. And I don't know, it just all fell into place that way. Otherwise, it felt like this hamster wheel that was just going nowhere for me.
Yeah.
Am I right, Sumito, that you're a full timer now? Didn't you make that switch pretty recently?
End of January. So I was.
Oh, okay.
I was sort of. I don't know. Like, I was in a position. It's two things. So I was in a position where between YouTube and Twitch, I was just about making enough money to go full time. And this is with working. Sorry.
Oh, I said hitting the nut.
Yeah, exactly. Very close. And I remember, I think Sean Cannell on the Video Influencers YouTube channel gave, I don't know what the basis for this is, but he said, if you're looking to switch full-time, if you're looking to quit your day job to do online content creation, you want to try to be making 30% of however much money you need in order to be able to survive in a month. So if it takes you $1,000 to pay all your bills, if you can make $300 from doing YouTube, then that's probably a point where you're safe to quit your job. Have a savings, obviously. But if you can make...
Can you tell me how the math works on this?
So the idea is that if you can
where does the other 700 come from?
So the idea is that if you can make 30% of your income from YouTube specifically, let's say, and that's after working 40 hours a week, being exhausted, and then doing that in your spare time, you should very easily be able to transition into making 100% of your income without that daytime obligation. Instead, having all the energy in the world, let's say doubling, tripling your productivity, being able to do better quality videos or also do a podcast or also do collaborations, which you just straight up couldn't before.
Sure.
I still think 30% is ambitious, and I think that definitely does come with having a safety net of maybe 6 months of savings left over, but you could very quickly switch over. So looking at it that way, I was like, well, if I'm making 100% of the amount that I want, and it's, November, December, my biggest concern was that January hits, the holiday pay goes away, the ad rates drop a ton, and now suddenly I'm making 10% of what I actually need. I'd be fearful. But what I did, and what you're referring to, is I told my manager one day as he was, complaining that I had shown up 2 hours late for work yet again because I was recording all night the night before. I was like, listen, you asked if we should look to find someone else to replace me, and I think you guys should find someone else to replace me. Like, I'm not putting in my official 2 weeks notice. I am willing to hang out for as long as it takes for you guys to find someone to come in, learn everything that I know. I'll teach them everything, and then they can fully replace me and we can do a smooth transition. But between my foreseeable future and after this acquisition with this other big company, like, I'm not going to be hanging out here. And that was less of a move of, I feel confident enough to go full time. I have all this money saved up. I can do this, which I sort of do, sort of don't. It was just much more of a, I mean, I'm going to get fired at some point. Like, this is the fourth time I've come in several hours late to work. Like, I have to do something to relieve this pressure. So it's kind of like getting kicked into the deep end when I'm like sitting there with my floaties worried if I'm actually going to be able to keep my head above the water. But I feel like in a way, like, you know, I could take melatonin. I could have not finished recording. I could have gone to sleep at midnight. But me staying up until 6 a.m., I could say it was because I wanted to be dedicated and make sure I got a video up Monday, as I have done for the last 2 years. Or maybe I wanted to be late to work. Maybe I wanted to get yelled at. Maybe I wanted to get pushed up against this wall to a point where my only option was to let go of the job and go headfirst into YouTube. And I'm not 100% sure that wasn't what I was subconsciously doing.
How long did you end up staying? Was it another 2 weeks? Was it another month? How long was the transition?
There, oh, this was maybe a month ago. As of today, we've had another talk about an acquisition from another company. So my manager gave me a proper follow-up call yesterday, and he was like, listen, we have other opportunities. Like, if you want to go into social media marketing, like, this bigger company will open up different job opportunities. I was like, no, fuck that. Find a guy, get him over, replace me. I don't want to be here any later than the end of January. So at the end of January, 100%, I'm going to be done with the day job. He's trying to find you a
new job in the company, and you're like, please don't.
It's not like I don't feel like an asshole. But like you said, if YouTube was not something that was not even in my wheelhouse, if it was something I enjoyed doing, but I didn't feasibly look at it as something that could replace my day job, this job's the dream job for me. I'm building computers and like circuit boards and controller boxes while watching anime on my phone 9 hours a day for like engineer grade pay as a kid who didn't go to engineering school. Like, this is the dream job for Sumit, leaving the Best Buy job and finding this out of nowhere. And yet, still, the bar's set too high. I don't value getting paid a ton of money or working with computers and pretending like I'm this big computer nerd and having the chops to back it up. Like, that doesn't excite me anymore. What excites me is being able to look back on something that I made from the ground up and going, yeah, that's a respectable piece of thing. And that's not fully built computers anymore. That's not laser boxes anymore. It's very satirical shitposty videos.
It's just not meaningful.
It doesn't have my name on it. You know, like, I don't want to give away the name of the company, but effectively the software that my company designs is the software that Elon Musk uses in Neuralink.
Whoa.
Like, it's a big thing.
That's high-end stuff then, yeah.
The thing that we're getting absorbed by is a big company, and it's all bioscience-y stuff. I work on a research facility where they have like rats and fish, and they're literally bouncing lasers off of the neurons of these animals in order to study reproduction, how cancer affects them, how they can do repairs, and how they can go through soft tissue without doing damage to soft tissue and what have you. It's cool stuff. And I'm literally building the controller boxes that the lasers bump into, the computers that power them, everything but the lasers themselves. I mean, I'm not crazy, but like what you could feasibly learn by watching YouTube videos, I know inside and out. And that would be a dream job for somebody who's like really into that. But I feel like if I was a real engineer, I wouldn't even be excited in that role because those computers don't have my name on it. That software wasn't designed by me. Nobody's going to, plug that stuff in, win a Nobel Peace Prize and be like, damn, that kid who put the thermal paste on this really knows what he's doing. God damn it. Like, no, nobody gives a shit about what I do. Right. And I feel like it might be different if like I was one of the lead engineers or if I was one of the lead software techs or something. And I'm not there, but I am in my YouTube videos, right? I'm the writer. I'm the director. If somehow one of these wins an award, my name would be on it.
So it's a legacy thing. I was zoning out there thinking that you're working for the company that's going to invent Penis 3.
Oh, bro, I wish. I wouldn't leave if I did.
And if they named it after you, then you would stay.
Penis Media? Yeah, I'd be down. Hell yeah.
But it's just this nagging feeling that you have of not leaving a mark. Can it be boiled down to that?
Absolutely. I mean, in my head, like sort of the big driving force behind me and the things that I do, aside from like feeling like I do have some, whether they be things that I've learned over the years or maybe something I was naturally born with, I do have some talents that I feel like would just be completely wasted going into an engineering job. I remember my chef in high school when I was taking a culinary class told me the same thing, where he was like, you're like a really out there kid. Like, I think you'd be happy in a kitchen, but doesn't that seem kind of small for you? And I was like, I didn't really get what he meant at the time, because I'd always be sort of, like the class clown making jokes and like, He'd be like asking like why it is that muffins and cupcakes were different, and I'd know the answer. And he'd be like, you know, like you don't just know that because you're really into like cooking. You're not just naturally gifted at culinary. Like you're somebody who absorbs knowledge. Like you're telling me you know all this stuff. You actually make, like nobody watches a bunch of the cooking channel and then knows how to make muffins. Like that's not how that works. You typically fuck it up until you get it right. Like you're somebody who sort of absorbs knowledge, and that kind of gets wasted in a kitchen where they mostly just want you to be a machine doing the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up not going into culinary because culinary school is really fucking expensive and nobody respects it, kind of like the same way they do film school. It's like big chefs will always be like, no, you don't need to go to culinary school. That's like how they look down on it. But like I look back at like him saying that and going, oh, I guess this is kind of what he means, is I don't want to be in a place where I'm just doing one thing and then never really getting recognized for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a big affinity for, I can't imagine you guys aren't at least kind of fans of Futurama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I don't know what it is about that show that I idolize so much, but like, I just feel like they characterize like what good comedy is in a way that I feel like just gets lost in the void of the internet. Like when Futurama makes fun of something, they're not doing it from this sort of dismissive, oh, this is stupid, I don't understand it, I'm going to be with the cool hive mind of this is different, get out of here. I'm going to dismiss this and I'm hilarious because this thing is stupid. Because who would want something different, right? We've got the status quo. No, Futurama, when they make fun of something, they understand it really, really well. They know it inside and out, so that when they make a joke about Bender changing genders to win the Olympics in the female role, like it doesn't come off as tremendously offensive because they're doing it from a point of like understanding and love and true satire, poking fun of it in a way that makes you like introspective of, oh yeah, I guess that is an interesting standpoint of this, and then working in sci-fi and everything and the rest. And I feel like to get to that point of really being funny, of being more than just pointing and laughing at something, but instead being able to like provide this sort of insight and making like even the people that you're making fun of see the humor in what you're saying, I feel like is something you got to strive for. Like you can't just do a bunch of stand up and then be that kind of funny. Like that takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of years of execution. And it's like, if that's not something I am now, but I can do a lot of comedy, work on my story writing and get to a point where I could be at the caliber of some of the writers that were on Futurama, like I've got no problem with that being like a set goal in my life and working up to that.
Spotify's statistics are pretty good, and they tell us that about 1% of the people who listen to The Create Unknown on Spotify are over 60. So here's a reference that's really tailored for that crowd. Talking about like having a higher level of knowledge and kind of reaching this point where the satire is real. It's artistic at that point as opposed to just being a thing. Don Rickles was a comedian famous for roasting back in the day. So the stuff that like the roasts that are on Comedy Central now and all that, like honestly, that originated with guys like Don Rickles many, many, many years ago.
Yep.
And there's a great video of him roasting Ronald Reagan at the time of his presidency. It's on YouTube, and he completely rips him, and it's amazing. It's awesome. It's funny. Ronald Reagan is loving every minute of it. When the roasts go really well, the people who are being roasted adore it.
Yep.
It's just a different level. And so hearing you talk about kind of raising the bar on this stuff and understanding it on a different level. Do you think that's why a lot of people are getting in trouble and getting, I don't want to say kind of cancel threats, but they get themselves into positions of controversy because they just haven't done it that well. You know, they're not at that level where you're saying Futurama is, where it's this recognized, really sharp art form.
I think that's definitely part of it. Yeah. Like,
so if they were better, they could avoid some of it. That's probably the wrong way to put it, but is it coming through?
Not better, but if they were to be able to display the fact that they have a true understanding or appreciation, right? Like okay. What makes the difference between a joke that is racist and a joke that is about race? And typically, if you see a black person making a joke about a black person, you're not going to assume that they are a racist because they're not coming from a place of ignorance. Right? They're definitely, you would assume, coming from a place of understanding, perhaps a place of love, perhaps a place of, I'm trying to point out this thing for the betterment of, black people or to draw more attention to this behavior in an attempt to maybe remedy it, rather than sit on the outside of this fence and try to ridicule it and belittle the people that partake in this activity. And so, when you see people like Louis C.K. or Bill Burr, who back in their heyday would be able to get away with very, very edgy jokes, it's because they weren't doing it from a stand at a distance, point and laugh sort of way, but instead, Bill Burr would make jokes about being from Philadelphia, and so he could relate to people in Philly. And Louis C.K. would make jokes about poor parenting and then point out his own, lacking skills as a father.
Whoa, wait. Burr is from Boston and was ripping Philadelphia, right?
I'm pretty good at getting stuff wrong, so that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's famously from Boston, and the thing that put him on the map was there was a show in Philadelphia that the crowd was horrible. The crowds in Philly are notoriously the worst. Worst.
The crowds for everything.
For everything.
Not
for
just
football
comedy,
games, baseball games, hockey games. They threw batteries at like Santa Claus.
Yeah, they threw the snowballs at Santa like back in the 80s when he was in the stands at an Eagles game. They just absolutely pelted him, obliterated him with snowballs.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't seen, and Tom just put it in the chat, Bill Burr, the Philadelphia incident, and he's kind of, from what I understand, like doesn't want to talk about this anymore. I don't know if that he's embarrassed by it, but he's just doesn't like, I guess, the attention that it got. But he just ripped on everybody in the audience in the entire city of Philly for 10 minutes straight, and it's amazing.
He dropped his set too. Like, it wasn't like they were booing him, and it was like he wasn't the first person on stage. The last few guys had gotten booed off despite trying to make an effort and get through their set of comedy that they prepared for these people at this show. And he was like, I'm not going to try and half-ass my set so that you guys can boo me. Fuck you guys. Fuck you and your weird city. And then just proceeded on for 10 minutes.
Yeah. That was awesome. No, one thing that I thought of, though, when you were talking about the difference between something coming from a place of love and something coming from potentially not, was I think that from what I understand, from what I've read about Chapelle and why he ended Chapelle's show, was he noticed people kind of laughing at Chapelle's show in a way that made him extremely uncomfortable.
Yep. He said in an interview that when poachers would look for water, they would put down some sort of treat to attract some sort of monkey, and they would riddle it with salt. And as the monkey, it could be a different animal. Chat will correct me. I know they will. As the monkey got progressively more thirsty, it would immediately rush off to wherever there was water because it's got a mouthful of salt. What else would you do? And the poachers would follow that monkey, and then they would find the water. And Dave Chappelle said in that interview that he thought he was one of the poachers doing something very smart and finding the water for himself. But as the show went on, he started to slowly feel like he was, in fact, the monkey dragging people into what he already sort of knew was good for him, and instead bringing along all this unwanted attention that doesn't necessarily appreciate like the sort of gold mine of comedy that he was so good at artistically portraying.
That is a weird analogy.
This got deep.
I think I've got the analogy right. Maybe he was talking about something else, but he was either talking about
if you just
why
made
he
it up
didn't,
on the spot. That's a fair analogy.
He might not have been talking about the Chapelle show because he did have that whole incident where he didn't end up getting paid for that show and then went to Netflix, and he might have been talking about referring to his executive producers on that deal, and instead was talking about the shows much, much later in life because the Chapelle show was so long ago now, and he's got like more recent stuff, so he might have been talking about that.
Well, yeah, what's going to make...
I just remember... Sorry, Matt. I just remember some story of him like in a bathroom or something, seeing some guy... Was it in a bathroom? Gosh, this is going off the rails. But he was seeing some guy laugh at a joke at a part that he shouldn't have been laughing at on Chappelle's show.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
And he was like, oh, this is bad. Like, this is not why I'm making the show. Like, this guy is laughing at the wrong thing. And he's laughing at it for the wrong reasons. And I don't want to continue to do this if it's essentially creating a scenario in which people can be laughing at what's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. And he was trying to tell a joke about something funny that somebody said. And the punchline of the joke was just him saying something goofy at the end, But the guy that started laughing just started laughing when Dave started doing an impression of the guy and just talking like, African-American youth in downtown Chicago or wherever the story took place. And he was kind of like, oh, he's just laughing at the fact that that dude was, who he was, rather than the goofy ass punchline at the end of the show.
Right. Not at the joke. Yeah. He was just
not
laughing
at the joke,
because he was a racist.
They had, what's his name? What's the dude who was on the Playboy covers for being able to drink a fuck ton of beer and now he's a comedian? He's got a show with Bill Burr on YouTube where he cooks and stuff.
Does the chat know about this? Person who drinks lots of beer
comes up.
I am thinking of not Ralphie May. Google, come on, he's alive.
No, Ralphie May's he's been out of the game for a few years now.
Jon Favreau? No way.
No. He's not.
Bert Kreischer?
Bert Kreischer. Thank God. I didn't describe him well. I apologize.
Oh, he's the worst.
He's not great, but he has a similar story where he was making a joke about black people, like just black people be like, and he felt like because it was from a place of understanding and it was one of his friends and the joke wasn't about him being black, but he did his friend's mannerisms while talking and stuff. And the joke was about him being a single father, that he was like, I feel like I'm telling this artistically and from a place of knowledge where the funny part is the thing that he says. And I think, and I don't even know if I want to say this, but I want to say that he might say a word that he wouldn't otherwise, quoting his friend. And he always
was that a gamer word?
It's a bit of a gamer word.
Are you dancing around a gamer word?
He says it in the joke, much the same way that Louis C.K. does, with no, racial overtones to it. Just, my buddy says this. That was the funny part of how he said it. I'm going to repeat it in this joke. And he said that the reason that he stopped telling that joke wasn't that people were laughing at it, but just like you said, Kevin, it was at some point, somebody walked up to him at the end of a show and he was like, man, that fucking joke that you got about that goddamn. And he was like, oh, you are not the type of person. Right. You are not laughing at what's funny in this joke. You're just laughing that I said that word. And now I'm realizing why this probably isn't worth the short 45 seconds in my 60-minute set. And so like he straight up doesn't tell that joke anymore because it gets laughs, but it legitimately gets laughs from the wrong type of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is something it's a question to both of you because it's kind of a meta question, okay? You only have so much control over how people receive a thing that you've made.
Yep.
You both have a whole lot of videos on different platforms, a lot of hours of content in. Even in this in this podcast, we've got, well over 100 hours of talking about creative stuff at this point. You can try to cultivate a certain type of people or a certain reaction or a certain inspiration, but ultimately you don't have full control over that. Where should the expectations end on how much you can do there? And is it a problem if 5 people laugh at the wrong thing? If one person takes something in a video and does evil with it, like how do you process this?
I don't know how much foresight you can expect out of a person when they're doing something creative that is open to interpretation, like by definition, right? But I think that the more broad that you make something, the more open you leave something for interpretation to a point, the more you've failed as an artist for that creative piece of work, right? If you read The Old Man and the Sea and you get the metaphors and comparisons between Christ and Christianity, cool, you've done a good job, right? If you read The Old Man and the Sea and, you go, you know what? Maybe I should join the KKK. You didn't read the right book. You read that backwards. You did not read what was on those pages, right? And that's not you interpreting it in a way, even if 30 people interpret it that way, it's no, you guys are stupid. Like the one sentence where he puts on a hoodie that happened to be white was not supposed to be, you drawing these conclusions from that. But I feel like if they make it very specific, when the old man looks down at his hands and he sees like, what is it that's supposed to refer to the injuries that Christ receives on the cross? He says something about him having scars on his palms, right? They throw in a few very obvious, you're not going to interpret this 2 separate ways sort of things. But if you're just, if you write a 2 page poem about a blue cube and there's nothing more to it, and you leave it open to all the interpretation in the world, then yeah, like you're going to get some psychopaths that are going to interpret it in ways that are ridiculous. And I feel like that comes from bad writing. You write stuff purposely vague with no hidden meaning, and therefore you don't have the foresight to be able to see how this could be interpreted. Whereas if just in your head, when you make it vague, you go, I'm leaving it vague so that people can sort of put two and two together and come up with this conclusion possibly. So long as that exists in the back of your head, I feel like it's very easy for you to sort of leave in little details here and there of this is how this is supposed to be interpreted, more or less.
What if the audience just didn't get it? They didn't do anything bad with it, but to use your Old Man and the Sea example, what if 95% of the people reading that book have an extremely simple understanding of it, at the point where they're just like, hey man, cool book about a fish? That obviously wouldn't be the level of reaction that you wanted, but would that disappoint you too?
I mean, no, right? Because if the point of that, so again, I've only read The Old Man and the Sea once, and I had to be told the sort of details that you're supposed to take away from it, right? Like I was 14, I didn't know, right? I don't know how to read between the lines at that point. I just sort of took my teacher's word for it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess this is about Christianity. We're all in agreement, right? But I feel like the less people that get the nuance and the more people that appreciate it at the surface level, that I think is actually a really good thing. Because if you watch Parasite and you think it's a phenomenal movie, you think it's great, you think it's the best movie ever, and you never pick up the fact that it's about social struggles, then you've made an incredible film, right? Because even if you don't get the second nature double meanings to everything that they're talking about, and like an idiot who doesn't get anything about the fact that it's making fun of, you know, the social wealth gaps in society, then you've made a great film, because you can appreciate it whether you do or do not appreciate the secondary meaning to it. But if 99% of people get that it's about social status and they appreciate it because of that, and only one dude who saw the movie is like, yo, it's fucking crazy when they took over that house, man, that dude smashing his head in. If that's only one guy, then you weren't subtle enough, right?
I can think of a great example. I agree with you completely. I think that, yeah, the ultimate goal for any artist is to succeed on both levels, succeed on the level of like surface level, people like it, but also succeed on the level of somebody, you know, can get like a deeper meaning out of it. Hopefully, you know, you work on it hard enough to that there is one. It doesn't have to be. It depends on what you're creating. But
it feels like you set the bar really high the way that we're describing it. But like you should strive for that, I think.
You should strive for that. Yeah, no, I agree. That would be the goal. That would be the goal of a creative endeavor. But I could think of one example where that people just enjoying something on a surface level went horribly wrong. And that's Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
Ooh,
which
or Borat.
Yeah.
Well, Born in the USA is a critique of the U.S., and like its foreign policy and the government, whatever, just all sorts of things. But it is 99.999 repeating percent praised and understood and used as a pro-American anthem.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Nobody uses that song for anything other than it being basically like the 1980s version of the Star Spangled Banner. And it's like the intention is the opposite of that. And that must be so annoying for Bruce, you know, whatever. But for Bruce Springsteen, like hearing it played in that regard has gotta be really frustrating. Be like, no.
Yeah.
That's not what this. No, guys, please.
Yeah, exactly.
What this song is about. This is not a rah rah sis kumbah like flag waving song.
Yeah,
that's a funny example. Richard Nixon floated the idea of having the Guess Who come to the White House and play American Woman. Number one, the Guess Who are Canadian. Monahim in the chat should enjoy that when he listens to the episode. He's a connoisseur of Canadian music to the nth degree. But yeah, the lyrics in American Woman are very clear, like denouncing the. I'm trying to think how to put it delicately. The characteristics and attitudes and actions of women in the U.S. It absolutely shits on them.
Yeah.
Right. It's like like if they were around writing songs right now, it would be like incel anthems, like railing against thoughts. It's very similar to that. But everybody's like, just from the chorus, just like with Born in the USA, it's like, oh, American Woman, this is this is an awesome chorus. Like, damn, that's a good pro-American song. No. And somebody had the good sense to haul them aside and just be like, this song isn't what you seem to think it is.
The next line is "Stay away from me." It's like American Women. It's like, get away from me.
Get away. Yeah. Like how much more clear do you have?
It's not subtle. There's no subtext. It's saying, get away from me. Stay away. It's right there. Just listen. It's not hidden. There's no secret. It's not a subliminal message.
Yeah, music's a hard one, dude. Because your message might be in the refrain, but like if the chorus is too catchy and it says the opposite, that's what your song's about now, dude. Adam Ragusia. So Internet Historian was asking me the other day, he was like, does it bug you that so many people make vending machine jokes? For those who don't know, we had a video exploring Japanese culture, and I talked about how much I appreciated vending machines. I just think they're neat, dude. I'd love one in my room, but I quoted that there were something to the tune of like 50 to 70 vending machines per person in Japan, which I have been told is false. I'm still looking into the numbers. It's actually like one vending machine per every 50 to 70 people. I had it backwards. It's a lot, though. And so
that's a pretty high ratio.
It's a stupid amount of vending machines, but I was way off because I flipped the numbers around. And so, very frequently, every video, I could say, every tweet, people are like, Sumit, how many vending machines are in Cyberpunk 2077 as I'm playing through Cyberpunk on my Twitch? And doesn't bug me one bit. Really doesn't. Because I saw this video by Adam Ragusia, which, you guys know who Adam Ragusia is? He does the very cool cooking videos. No. He does sort of
So I got to say real fast, we do run a thing when we edit the episode. We almost never take anything out because we don't have a reason to. We almost never have a reason to. But one thing we do run is a little plugin that removes gaps. Because sometimes, we're waiting. Like there are a lot of reasons to have gaps in a podcast, but when that runs through, the audience will not know just how long that dead silence was when you asked us, and then Kevin squeaks out a meek no.
No, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it.
Let's say 12 seconds. Is that about right?
Yeah, probably. So Adam Ragusia does cooking videos on YouTube.
I was trying really hard to think of who Adam Ragusia is, and then I felt bad, and I don't want him to feel bad that
you might
we don't
know his face
because
he's had some big viral videos. I feel like even if you guys don't watch cooking stuff, you might have seen
I know
Ragusia.
His face.
Yeah. So Adam,
because he looks like Louis Theroux kind of.
Yeah, he does. So he typically does cooking videos, and he's sort of a mix between like J. Kenji Alt and Alton Brown. He sort of looks at the food science behind why we cook things a certain way, but then he dummies it down to like, this is how I do it at home. I don't do all this fancy French shit. I'm a dad. I've got kids. This is how I do it in 20 minutes. This is how I do pizza. And I get it crispy to my threshold as like a chef, but this is as lazy as I'm going to be while making this. Feel free to follow along. And has found great success to that. He does a sort of out of character or out of niche video on his channel where he takes a look at the cautionary tale of, I'm going to Google it because I don't want to get his name wrong. Cautionary tale. He takes a look at the cautionary tale of Jani Lane. You guys know who Jani Lane is?
No.
Jani Lane is the lead singer of a band that I will let you know in a second. Jani Lane and his band. Wait,
sorry, go on.
Don't ruin it for Kevin if he hasn't gotten it. So Jani Lane has an album deal to put out an album with his rock band, and he's got a bunch of credentials. Everybody's loving his music. He's got a lot of clout rolling behind him. Whatever he makes is going to be a hit. And the day before his album's supposed to go into final recording, he gets a call from his music producer who's like, "Hey, Jamie, you've got a great album here, but what you don't have is like a catchy rock anthem. All your stuff's very good. People are going to love it, but they're going to appreciate it as art. We need something that people can blast on their radios that you can open your concerts with." And in what is recorded as an hour flat, drunk in his hotel room on the back of a pizza box, he scribbles down the lyrics to a song that would later be known as Cherry Pie for his band Warrant.
Yes.
Wow.
And it cuts to an interview where they're like, "So what do you think of Cherry Pie?" And Jani's like, I fucking hate it. I hate it so much.
It's one of the stupidest songs of all time.
It's
so
not.
dumb.
It's not.
He wrote it in an hour.
It's not. You're dumb.
Stupid.
You're dumb. You're one of the stupidest YouTubers of all time.
Okay. Have fun. Everyone who doesn't know Cherry Pie by Warrant watching that and seeing if I'm right or Matt is right.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna quit
Why
this
are you
podcast.
typing? You're in voice chat.
I'm because the opening they scream dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking, and so as I'm ranting here, I'm typing that for the people who they can't listen to the video right now because they're listening to us, right? So I figure that I can just get the whole thing done as we talk about it. But Tom's posted all of the lyrics that were on this pizza box, but it's good. It's a good, wholesome song about lovemaking and the American dream.
It slaps, right?
And it does slap. Oh, it slaps hard.
I just want to say that there's a very bad manners thing that you do in League of Legends where if you're playing a game with a duo, so one other person that you know and you're in voice communications, you'll play with 3 other random people that the game will queue you up with. It's a very big bad manners thing where if your teammate's doing bad, you'll type something in all chat for everybody to read, and everybody else doesn't know that you two are playing in like you're friends, like you're playing as a party. So they'll just think you're ragging on your friend, and then everybody will rag on your friend. And then in voice you have to be like, why would you not tell me that was a bad play, like to my ears? Like, why would you type it out and get everybody else to nag on me like this? And that's what it felt like when I saw you just typing while saying something else. So anyway,
I'm thrilled that you would bring up Warrant. Like it's so nice to have this come up and not have to be the one to bring it up.
I think it's a good tale.
I've won the podcast lottery. Took 72 episodes to get here.
Listen, baby, you want a delivery? SumitoMedia is here to bring it. Remember to tip.
Oh man. I used to troll my coworkers with that song at the club because
you cherry pie roll them.
Yeah, it's like a Rickroll kind of song to me.
It's
like,
it's notable.
How
yeah.
stupid is this song?
No.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Do you understand how insensitive you're being to cultures right now, to certain
pies
subcultures?
There's no culture around that song. What
yes,
is
there
the culture?
It's
well, so
I'll put it this way: there are T-shirts that you can think, would Joe Dirt wear this band's T-shirt? Yes or no, and why? He would absolutely wear a Warrant T-shirt, and he would just like do the devil horns in his. I forget which car he ended up with at the end of the movie, but he'd spin out, shoot the dirt onto Kid Rock, and blast a song like Cherry Pie. That's a subculture in the United States, and if you don't respect that, Kevin, then we have a problem going forward.
No, I don't respect that. I respect that subculture, but I think of that as more like a 38 special. Not Warrant Cherry Pie.
Well, so here's the thing.
It's all kind of the same.
Jani Lane agrees with Kevin, right? The tale goes on to foretell that Jani Lane hates this song. He put no effort into it. He wrote it in a night. All the other music that he spent so much time on and what really gained him the notoriety up to that point has now been washed away by cherry pie buffet pie eating contests at every single one of his shows. That's the only thing they want to see him play. That's the only thing they want to see him do. That's the only sponsorships that this guy is getting is for cherry flavored Coca-Cola so that they can use the song as they're advertising the thing.
It's a curse.
It's a curse.
That's the way the ball bounces sometimes.
It is. And Adam Ragusia's whole video about this is like the title is Watch Before You Blow Up on YouTube. And it's be prepared for how people are going to interpret your art and understand that once you've licked the seal on that envelope and sent it, it's up to whoever opens it to read it and interpret it as they want to. And that's how it's going to exist to them in their universe, right? You can't show up as an NPC and provide clarity on this particular quest. There's probably a point to that. They'll figure it out in editing. Don't worry.
Jani Lane's dead, by the way, died a while back.
Put a bullet in his head. Yep.
Yeah.
No. That's not good. I'm stupid.
What?
Drank himself to death. No, I'm stupid. Drank himself to death.
Yeah. He died fairly young, though, and the cherry pie pain stopped. Let's see, it was 2011, which would have made him
What a way to
47?
memorialize him.
Yeah.
His eulogy is the cherry pain pie has stopped.
Jesus
I
Christ.
saw Red, by the way. That's another great Warrant song. But
I'll
people
get it
get
in
things
post.
wrong
Thank
all the
you,
time
Ben.
too. Yeah, I Saw Red is a very nice ballad. And that reminds me, though, that what about if you do one thing that's just not at all like the other things you do? Since we're talking about this genre of music and that era, there's a song by Extreme called More Than Words. And this is it's hard to even call it a power ballad because it never quite gets very powerful. It's a nice acoustic love song.
Right.
It's kind of love song. I mean, it's about a guy wanting the woman to show her love rather than just say it, wanted her to actually mean it. But anyway, it's completely unlike just about every other song that Extreme did.
Right.
What happens when Saigon Kick had that with Love Is On The Way as well? But what happens when you make a piece of art and it's cool and you like it and it's similar to 0.5% of what you put out, and you really like the other 99.5%, but that's not what's popular? What do? You
got to pick between clout and self-control.
What would you do? What would you do if, I don't know, what's something that you hate? What's like a genre of things you hate?
Oh,
let the hate flow through you.
No, this is tough because I don't like to just like blatantly hate something without knowing it. And then once I like read into it, it's like I can always sort of see the other side. But
what's something you don't like doing then? That's really my question.
Oh, running. Not a fan of running. My thighs scrape together. It's upsetting.
Okay, you make a jogging video and it gets 10 million views.
Oh, I would hate it.
You jog in such a way that it's funny for everybody.
I would hate it.
And they love it. You can be a jogging guy the way Review Bra is a cheeseburger and a car guy.
Right.
This would be a fantastic career for you. Would you do it?
No. I feel like I've done a good job of straying away from what I know will be more popular, but isn't truly what I'd want to do. Yeah. I feel like that's the one piece of self-restraint I've got. I can't keep myself from eating all the cheesecake in my fridge, but I can prevent myself from doing a video that I know is going to get more clicks, but it's like drama laden and just has a YouTuber's face, content aware, scaled as the thumbnail, doesn't have any of my personality. It was just, guys, today I'm just going to go over the facts of some drama that's been going on Twitter. It would do numbers, but I wouldn't want to do that for the foreseeable future or even a second time. You know, I'm like well aware of that pitfall. I don't know what I would do if one of my videos exploded and it had nothing to do with the rest of the videos that I'd want to do. But I feel like knowing that I've very cautiously only done videos that are very true to me, are laden with my personality, so that even if they do go viral, at least there's a good understanding of like who I am and what I find funny, I hope.
I want to interject and say that Dan has thrown up onto Twitter a link to Cherry Pie. People can vote on whether it is stupid or whether it's culture. I'd like to point out that there's an early lead for culture of about 2-1. How does that feel, Kevin? Does it feel like to get schlonged?
I just played Cherry Pie at full volume into my eardrums. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize that that link would just play the song immediately.
I know.
Would you have the same?
It's garbage. I don't need Twitter people to tell me otherwise.
That's true.
So, Kevin, would you have the same kind of answer? Because is it different when you're a bit older and you're thinking like, yeah, I'd do anything if it meant that I could do it for 5 years and not, be able to retire? Like, is there a different attitude that kicks in?
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point it's like, Jani, I get that you hate that song, but at the same time, just cash the check, bro.
Yep.
Like be happy that you had a banger
at
that
least
made
to
you
the
a
next
ton
album.
of money. You just can't catch lightning in a bottle twice anyway. I mean, every band has this, I think, to some degree. I mean, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain hated Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Hell yeah.
Smells Like Teen Spirit was not a song that he wrote wasted on a pizza box the night before because the record company told them that he needed a radio single. Like, that was considered a great song because it was a great song, but it got so popular that he hated how popular it was, and they refused to play it live. Nirvana did not play Smells Like Teen Spirit live. I don't know. They might not have played it once after like 1991. He just refused to play it.
Yeah.
Because it annoyed him so much that it was so popular. So I think that to some degree, like whatever is your most popular thing, you come to, I don't know, just be sort of annoyed by for some reason. Kino was talking about Creep. the Radiohead song. They hate that song. That was their first big hit. I remember that the story supposedly of that song was that there are like palm mutes that they do, the chukut chukut in that song. And that was like the guitar player like trying to mess up the song because they hated it so much. That could be just like mythology at this point, but
no, I'd believe it though.
That's part of the story of that song. It was like they didn't like that song. He was trying to screw it up, so he was like adding like frustration palm mutes to it or whatever. But yeah, I think that whatever that curse exists with probably not just musicians, but probably any creator to some degree. And I don't know what's behind that. I mean, I'd be interested in both your thoughts as to like why that occurs, but it seems to be pretty prevalent.
I think it comes from believing that being a one-hit wonder is the pinnacle of what you can accomplish. I think it gets, if you believe the way that musicians do, where it's like you only get one big hit, you only get one thing, and that's what you're known for. And you write 6 songs from the depths of your heart, speaking about the trauma from your childhood or the struggles of being an angsty teen. And then the thing that you get really popular for is just, screaming Barracuda over and over again because your producer wanted a song like that with a lot of repetition. Then it can suck to know that the one chance that you hypothetically had got blown on this thing that isn't super representative of you. And if you go believing that's like, you're never going to have anything better than that, you're never going to have something that's going to be more representative, and that's all you're ever going to be known for, then yeah, I'd be pretty upset too. It's like throwing your master ball at a Pikachu and then later learning what a master ball is. It's like, fuck, I only get one of those. But like in reality, if you keep going, you will do more, right? It doesn't matter if it's you don't do another song that hits the #1 charts for as long as that first one. But if you do 6 albums after that first song, eventually you might not be known for any other one song as much as Cherry Pie, but you might be known collectively as an artist as much more than that one song Cherry Pie, right? And choosing to just exit out of the program in whatever way you decide to, all that does is lock you into only ever being known for that one thing.
Yeah, playing at state fairs until you drop dead on stage.
Yeah. Brendan Urie.
There's a cruelty in you, Kevin Lieber. There's a cruelty that I don't think this audience has really had a chance to see until this episode.
Special episode, baby. Special guest.
An absolute cruelty. I do want to say, though, is because there's been a perfect storm of topics here. Because you bring up Warrant in that era. Kevin brings up Smells Like Teen Spirit. Something really interesting happened here, and I've mentioned this to Kevin in the past. Firehouse's Love of a Lifetime, and if you don't know that song, that is, if you call Cherry Pie a cheesy, stupid song, Love of a Lifetime just has every hallmark of the pinnacle of hair metal, glam kind of rock, and it's a massive power ballad. It's awesome.
Right.
That was #1. And it was dethroned. This is in the summer of '91. It was dethroned by Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is like the opposite of hair metal. And that transition marked the transition between like my people running the world and Kevin's people running the world. That week on the Billboard charts, on Nielsen's mainstream rock charts, it was just the transition of an era, and we really haven't recovered.
The Doomers took over.
To keep that going, I think my era of that afterwards would be Panic at the Disco's I Write Sins, Not Tragedies, because Brendan Urie, the lead singer of Panic at the Disco, he doesn't even sing that song when they're performing on stage anymore. There are YouTube compilations of him just going, I walk, and then just holding the microphone to the crowd. Yeah, there you go. It's sick of, good fucking finger on the trigger, Tom. Yeah. Good job.
He's the fastest. He's the best.
He literally doesn't, and then just sticks the microphone in the crowd. Whatever. You guys know the song. I don't give a fuck. I'm the lead singer. Is there a guitar in my hand? No, you guys know it. You don't want to hear me. You want to hear you. You want your cell phone footage of your voice in the background. That's all you want. It's kind of beautiful in a way because he's the embodiment of what happens if you stick through it. This is what's on the other side for you.
I think heated, that's one of those songs where I don't recognize it by the title, but I'm sure if I heard it,
you'll know it. But it's one of those songs you'll definitely know by the first 4 notes because it's also been memed to death.
If I know it, you know it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That'd probably be our generation's one,
there's-
right? Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, is that the transition? Is that the handoff?
I mean, what else would it
For
be?
you?
I mean, I would say maybe it's like Lil Nas X is an excellent example of like just playing to your strengths, man. He was like, oh, the song that's going super viral is this weird sort of cowboy beat that I wrote that doesn't have any real meaning. And even when Genius reached out to me for some behind the lyrics meanings, I gave them actual bullshit. What am I going to do? Cash the checks. Fucking Sony Music wants me to just dress up like a cowboy for any interview. I'm there, baby. Don't sweat it. I'll wear this
He rolled with
cowboy
it.
hat to my next fucking album and then all the way through that. And he did.
And in a Google commercial that's running right now,
Yeah.
that plays all the time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
No, he had a
Lil-
lot of fun with that.
Lil Nas X is pretty self-aware. I think
I think that whole generation
One of
is.
the
I mean,
best,
if you
yeah.
look at Lil Nas X, if you look at Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, Doja Cat, when their songs start popping off on TikTok, they're doing the dance. They're like, oh shit, this is where you guys want to throw my music around? You want it to be known for this little choreographed thing on TikTok? I understand that that's how music gets viral now, and I'm going to play to the strengths of how social media is going to leverage this tune. So I'm going to embody it. I'm not going to sit back and go, oh, look how stupid TikTok is. Nope, they're well aware. Every one of them has a number one hit now, and every one of them has a choreographed dance to their song.
Yeah, we were talking. I don't know if you saw this in the group chat the other day. We Sumito and I are in this one of the same group chats on Twitter with some YouTubers, and they were talking about people being like music famous on TikTok that like they have their own audience. I forget who it was, but it was somebody huge on YouTube.
It had to be Corpse.
Where. Yeah, oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I was like, they
Corpse,
don't talk.
Yeah, it's like they're distinct audiences here, where some people don't even know what's going on the other platform.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, TikTok's got this sort of beautiful, unique level of virality to their music, where only 8 seconds of your song has to be good. Only 8 seconds. It's just got to have enough to it
It's like riding a bull.
that I can set.
It's like a rodeo.
Exactly. If I can set up a joke and deliver the punchline of that joke using a certain set of lyrics in your song, and it's just catchy enough that as you're scrolling by, you hear it 19, 20 times to the point where you finally look it up on YouTube. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And it's absolutely skyrockets the numbers. There were songs from so long ago. There were artists like Will Smith's daughter has a song that has like half of its popularity from a TikTok trend. Like not a dance, like a trend, like, you know, where people stick text over it and throw in a relatable experience that they've got that gets 100,000 likes and it's got the song playing in the background. She doesn't have a full label. She doesn't have a full album alongside with it. But this one song that she made after Whip Your Hair from God knows how many years ago has way more notoriety than it should from what is effectively an indie launch of a song because TikTok just handled it from that point on.
Wait, so have we come full circle and reached an era in which having artistic integrity is garbage and the goal is to write cherry pie?
I can't disagree with you,
is
dude.
that it?
I can't.
Is that where we're at?
I don't want to agree with you, but I don't have the bullet points to disagree with you, Kevin.
When hasn't it been that way though?
I mean, artistic integrity in music doesn't
spoiler,
super translate into a catchy
spoiler
tune.
alert on this. I want to say this was 48. I wasn't around there.
We're narrowing it down. He can't be
But,
60. Throw up another poll. We'll get closer
I'm
this
thinking,
time.
I'm thinking, you know, this is kind of how political slogans have worked. If you could nail something that was in one phrase, it was a tremendous asset to you.
Yep.
You know, that's kind of, that's been the thing, you know, and I think back to the almost meme quality of the phrase Tippecanoe and Tyler too. So yeah, that would have been, actually that was a song. Yeah. In 1840 for the election then. And all you needed was a super memeable short thing that can get reprinted in every newspaper, that can be a bar that can be repeated. It's weirdly similar to what you just described with 8 seconds on TikTok, but it was 180 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think marketing in general has always been about being able to wrap your brand around just one solid thing in terms of like a short phrase. And it's stupid and gimmicky, I think, because we're so familiar with it. We're so used to it to hear Bounty come up with, yeah, you guys know us. We're the quicker picker upper. And it's like, dude, shut up. Like, what?
Yeah.
Only you say that. We don't say that. I don't fucking tell my mom, make sure you get the quicker picker upper, because nobody does that. Nobody is saying that besides your commercials. But then when you get something that's really catchy and it's locked in your head, and it's like, yeah, man, it is free real estate. Like, I'm doing the advertising for you at that point.
I'm just thinking of all the things you could say if you spoke only in marketable phrases.
Oh, that was a
memeable phrases.
That was
you could get through the entire day.
That was a Whose Line Is It Anyway mini game. I forget what
was it?
It was probably called Slogans or something, but yeah, you could only talk in marketing catchphrases, and they had to fucking play at an improv scene, but they could only do product placement slogans.
That was one of Demolition Man's, prognostications of the future, was that there was no more music and it was just commercial jingles. So you turn on the radio. So, Stallone turns on the radio in the future.
Oh, that's grim.
It's just commercial jingles. Have you not seen Demolition Man?
I guess not. No.
Oh, you should
Nobody
watch
saw that
it.
movie. It sucked.
Why are you guys so split on
terrible.
everything? This is such a weird thing to wrap your identity around. Yeah, I host it.
This is why we weren't friends in high school.
I do this podcast with this guy. Like he's really into Warrant. I'm not.
Wait,
it
do you
works.
you really think Demolition Man sucks?
I don't think it's a great movie. No,
I didn't say it was a great movie. It does not suck, though. I mean, if you love Over the Top, how can you hate Demolition Man?
Over the Top is amazing.
Those are the same.
When I say great,
like ballpark.
No,
they're playing the same game
They're the
in the same arena.
movie, Matthew.
No, Demolition Man has things in it that aren't believable. Right? There's a lot of unrealistic things in Demolition Man. Everything in Over the Top is realistic. For the people who don't know Over the Top, it's a 1987, I think, movie. Sylvester Stallone. I've talked about it before. He has to win he's a trucker, a long haul trucker who has to win an arm wrestling competition to get custody of a son. Tell me what's unrealistic about that.
Every sentence.
Show me the goof. Show me the fiction.
Every word.
Show me the life that doesn't fit that. That's in some way you're living that life and you don't even know it.
No, a future in which only Taco Bell is the remaining restaurant is more likely than a trucker ever having to win an arm wrestling contest to win custody of his child.
Oh, I don't have the numbers behind that. I don't even know where I stand on that one.
Do you really hate Demolition Man? Or are you just saying that to be
I don't like it. Yeah.
adversarial?
No. I'm truly like when I said great movie, great to me means if it's on TV and I'm like scrolling past movies, I would stop and watch it no matter what.
Yeah, but is it only great or sucks? It's just a binary choice. It can't be like
I wouldn't watch it again.
Movie.
If I never saw this movie again, I would not care at all.
Well, yeah, but that's most movies. How many movies do you want to watch?
I was going to say I bump into this issue a lot when I'm talking about
Rocky
anime
4.
that I rank, because I have a list of animes and you give them scores on this website, and I used to list really highly shows that I would watch repeatedly, but rewatchability is like totally different. Like there are movies and TV shows that I would definitely put at a 10, but I'm not sitting through that experience again. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a bad judge of movies specifically. Like some of them are just so good the first time you sort of experience the turn of events or the character development that when you go back and it's like you already know somebody's a bitch, it takes so much away from it. But like that, it still makes it a good first experience.
Yeah, there are different criteria here between rewatchability and something that's like a great movie or show,
How did I get into a podcast with two men who don't understand art or culture?
I clicked a link on your tweet. I don't know how you got here.
Says the guy who will only listen to the same 45 songs.
That's true.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you talking about?
No, I should release them. No, that's me. I probably listened to, it's about 45
That's
songs.
That's awesome. I stopped listening to music after 2008.
What?
Nothing interests you, does it? It's not.
After
is that it? Like there's just nothing new.
That's
2008.
Like
stupid. No, 2000.
Your Amish cutoff.
2012. It's like no
new technology after this year.
I unironically, aside from maybe less than 10, 15 songs a year, pretty much just listen to what I listened to in high school. Yeah, it might be as like a
God bless you.
It might be like a comfort complex, like the equivalent of like carrying around a like a stuffed animal because it brings you. It like soothes your anxiety because it's something familiar. I think that might be what it is to me because some new music is like experimental and I get it so long as it's like lyrically heavy. Mm-hmm. But if it's like instrumentally experimental, like Death Grips or something, like I just get lost, dude. Like I don't get it at all.
I don't know. I don't know what to say to either of you.
Death Grips is cool. Shut up.
Just being stuck in the past and liking it.
I'm scrolling down I'm scrolling down through. I actually have two playlists that do add up. And I think
that's the one song I know.
The newest thing I'm seeing here is "The Show Must Go On" by Queen.
The newest?
Oh my God.
And I want to say that was 92, but I might be wrong about that. 91, sorry. Yeah.
Nah, dude.
So, well, it's not a whole lot different from what you just told me.
It's not.
I mean, our age gap is probably, it makes it extremely similar. So if you have these gap years and wind up to be my age, your 2008 is going to sound as nutty to these people as...
No, it absolutely is.
My 1991.
You guys are like Ronald McDonald opening up your closet and just having the same clown outfit over and over again, like nine outfits of the same clown suit, and you're happy.
And I literally wear the same clothes every day. I have the same pairs of brown pants in rotation and like 32 white t-shirts. You know this.
No, you have a lot of t-shirts.
I have a lot of t-shirts, but I very rarely wear them.
That's true.
I only wear them when I'm dressing up to go somewhere, leave the house.
Wait, so what do you reserve new experiences for? What's new?
In music or in t-shirts?
In anything.
Oh, so I think I have more plays on like meme, lo-fi, Europunk edits of already existing songs than I do in legitimate new music. Like,
that's cool.
Like, I'll take a look at like a lo-fi remix of that Jue Hua Pao Beifeng shot, like that Chinese bald dude singing that song over a lo-fi distorted mix, and it's like, oh, this dude kind of did an okay job with this, more than I will the new album. Like the last new album I listened to front to back was Kid Cudi's album that came out like last week. Like I didn't listen to Ariana Grande's new album. I didn't listen to Logic's last album. Like I'm not gonna sit down for an hour and a half and just be like, because then you have to have like an opinion on it. When people ask you, have you listened to it? It's like, yeah, I did. It's like, oh, what's your opinion on it? It's like, oh, this is my opinion on it. It's like, oh, fuck you. We can't be friends anymore. And it's like, I just don't want to be in that realm of like, I have to know what new music is. I'd rather just like, if you come into my car and I'm playing something, we both know this. Like,
there's a lot of new music though that's not mainstream. It's not pop music. Like I haven't listened to any of the stuff that you have mentioned, but I listen to lots and lots of new music that's not, top 40.
Yeah, I get exposed to a lot of it just because people go out of their way to... I typically do like a distorted musical intro to most of my videos now. Because I feel like if you're going to have an intro and sort of like waste the audience's time with the same flashing images and your text or whatever, something's got to be different. So I always like to find something that's relatively new, something that's relatively remixed or relatively come back up in resurgency. And knowing that in the back of my head, it's like sometimes I will take the time out of my day to just shuffle play whatever YouTube music decides to throw in my face that week.
Is that not a copyright claim problem?
So it's not going to be like a 8-bit pixel version of The Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi, right? It's going to be Bernie Sanders saying something memey that they threw over the, Wind Temple theme. It's going to be something stupid like that.
Okay.
Like if you keep it just stupid enough, and also you're as small of a channel as I am, you don't need to worry about copyright.
Okay.
I'm sure that won't be true forever.
Well, we wanted to ask you about some topical things here before we get into questions. And by the way, chat, if you haven't popped your questions up, do that now so that the baby gang, the mods, producers, etc., can pin those for easy consumption. But before that, we have to talk about Twitch. Twitch went wild today, didn't they? Words like incel, simp, virgin, things that I've been called, things that I'm sure all of us have been called.
Yes, sir.
Those are now banned from the Twitch platform. Is this really a big deal?
I think it's Twitch doing their over policing of bullying that even YouTube has sort of stepped in and sort of gotten some flack for. So, YouTube's done more subtle things like removing or thinking about removing the dislike button. And it's been like, we get that you don't want stuff being like dislike bombed or what have you, but at a certain point, it's like you're suppressing helpful free speech along with just removing having any negative feedback whatsoever. I think with Twitch, it's just sort of been a big thing because that's like where those memes started, not incel or virgin. Obviously, those
they've been around a
little
while,
bit longer. but simp specifically is just spammed to death on Twitch at the mention of a female. It could be you.
What do you mean at the mention? Like, give an example of how light it has to be.
If I was streaming Twitch and I were to just take a moment out of my day to go, oh shit, my subscription's running out to Pokimane. And then I quickly pull up her Twitch in my browser and I pay my $25 to make sure that my monthly sub is recurring to her. You could probably call me a simp and that'd be fine. Because it's like, oh dude, you're making quite a fucking event out of sending your money to this girl to make sure that you keep those cute pictures in your chat. That's fine. But it's like, I've been spammed simp in my chat for like I've picked up my phone call and been like, oh, my mom's calling me. And it's just been like, simp! This dude's a simp!
Simping for mom, huh?
Exactly. Just anything to do with inconveniencing yourself even a little bit for the attention of a female. And it's very much a meme, right? Like,
I can understand it's annoying, but why is that a bannable offense? So like Tom, I think it's Tom, of course it's Tom, has put the actual wording into the chat here. And it says, among these changes, a ban on, quote, making derogatory statements about another person's perceived sexual practices or sexual morality. And that includes negative words like whore. Well, I understand that one. Virgin. We will take action against the use of terms like simp, incel, or virgin specifically when they're being used to refer to another person's sexual practices. How do you decide if that's the use? That seems really weird and murky to me.
Yeah. I don't have a clean cut why simp should or should not be in that category. I have a few colloquial things. Like, I feel like if the word simp wasn't so interchangeably used with the word incel, wasn't so interchangeably used with the word virgin, because it has a completely different meaning, although it might overlap a bit, where it's like, it does make sense for you to not want to make fun of somebody who's involuntarily celibate or is a virgin out of their control. If they're making a big thing out of wanting to be able to sleep with somebody and they haven't, then it's seen as like a failure and like a lack of, chadness for you to not have been able to do that in our culture. So it's like, I would get why you wouldn't want to make it a big thing for people to make fun of, like a streamer playing a video game where every time they bump into a female NPC, it's like, dude, you'd never be able to talk to a girl like this in real life, though. Like, that'd get fucking annoying. But simping specifically, especially in the current connotation of the word, is like an overly passionate amount of attention given to a female. Or given to anybody in like a worshiping sense, like much more than would be expected to an unhealthy degree. To just buy your girlfriend flowers would be called simping, but like pseudo-ironically. But to buy the girl who's validated your parking every day flowers because she smiled a little longer than usual, though has made clear that she has no interest in you, would be like the actual definition of simping, right? But I feel like because it just gets thrown away with, oh, you're respecting a woman, you're a simp. That's where Twitch is kind of like, well, we can't just allow you to throw that around. We've got quite a few women on our platform, don't you know? And I don't think the fact that they have so many large female content creators that are having, regardless of who you are, anybody who supports them in any given way, this negative connotation of being called a simp, obviously that's not going to be healthy to their business or their ability to like be a safe harboring place for women in gaming, right?
Why not just make a new word? Isn't it just a treadmill?
I've been trying
just come up with another word
so long to get pay
and then
pig
ban that one
to be normalized.
That's my question. Pay
pig is great.
We should just go with pay pig.
That's been around for a little while. I like that. There was a guy. Oh, I'd love to say his name. I'd love to out this guy because he sucks so hard. God damn it. There's some kind of low end comedians who I really hate.
I'll probably know who you're talking about. I know comedians pretty well, I think.
I'll tell you privately, but I cannot throw it out in this episode. But he had a project and had a Patreon for it and just didn't release anything for months and months. But then kind of abused the people who stuck around. Like, he made fun of the people who stuck around supporting him. Like, kind of ripping on them for still giving him money. And he would call them pay pigs.
What?
And it was, now I see it like, it was almost like the financial dominatrix, like the FinDom stuff. They seem to enjoy getting ripped on for giving him money. But that's when I first really saw PayPig being used a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's been shut down since. But yeah, I was like, oh, this is a grimy word. Like this simp is kind of goofy and funny and whatever, but PayPig, like nobody feels good about being a PayPig.
No, I mean, PayPig is like one of those words that's actually used like in the fetish. Like that's what you would be, that might be what you request to be called by a financial dominatrix. Like that's in their vocabulary. Simp is very much like it was California Bay Area slang and meant exactly what it did until the internet took over it and started using it outside of like rap battles to refer to the same thing.
But if it's such a meme and it's so ubiquitous that you would get called a simp for answering the phone when your mom is calling, how does it have gravitas? How does it have weight? How is it that offensive anymore that it needs to be banned? I don't understand.
It infuriates me, dude. It infuriates me. You put it as well as I could have put it, and I feel like you can take so much power away from a word or a phrase or a stigma by making it a meme. You know what I mean? Like the tremendous normalization of being an otaku, video game obsessed shut-in, or being somebody who's really into furryism, or even just being like something other than cisgendered or straight is so much more normalized just because between the people making fun of it ironically, the people making fun of it unironically is such a big thing on the internet that it's so much more normalized on the internet that it's become normalized in society. And now it's not as big of a deal to be gay or a gamer or really obsessed with Scott Pilgrim versus the world because it's just such a meme now that it's like almost socially acceptable because it's just been in everybody's mouths for so much longer than it would be otherwise.
Well, and there's no simp identity group who is like banding together to fight for simp rights.
We should do it.
That's the other thing. I don't.
Simp rights.
I mean, if that means we can keep
like
using
simp activism.
I'm down.
Why is it a big deal then? Why are people freaking out about this? If you're saying this is a meme thing, it's annoying, it'll be replaced by something because we know it will be.
Right.
There'll be another term coming down the pipe. Why is Twitter going ballistic today about how this is like the death knell of Twitch? Nobody should stream on Twitch anymore. Stream on YouTube instead. Why is this a big deal? Like, I still don't understand like why that reaction is coming through here.
I used to think it was stupid.
Is this a tip of the iceberg thing?
I used to think it was stupid. I used to just want to take a look at that stuff and just have the knee-jerk gut reaction, the visceral reaction of, yeah, it's stupid, fuck them. But that reaction doesn't teach you anything, I have found. You really have to look at the other side of this and be like, all right, what is Twitch thinking? What are the people who want simp banned thinking? What are the people who are being called simp thinking? What are the people who want to keep simp as a word in our vocabulary thinking, right? And I think that it's very obvious for Twitch because they're stupid and they're old and they're not in touch with their platform because they want to just look at this and go, this is a negative word. It's being applied to some of the biggest content creators making money on our platform. Therefore, we should remove this inconvenient annoyance from their lives because we have the power to do so. What's that? Is DMCA destroying our platform? No. Simp. We got to deal with simp. This is what we focus on right now. And so they want to do that. And I think that there isn't going to be a huge majority of people who are like, no, I want to be able to bully people with this word and have the same credibility as a few people who were like, yeah, I was called a simp and it made me feel real bad and then I stopped streaming. Like that's what's going to get the retweets. That's what's going to get screenshot and shared on twitch.blogspot, right? That's going to be the thing that they use as a scapegoat. So like if you want to make change with these things and all you really have is the virality and the noise that you can make on Twitter, like you really, annoying as it is, you really do got to treat it like it's the end of the world. Like you really got to make it like I will die on this hill for this freedom because that's the only way we've ever made a change to, continue to have, reaction content on YouTube, to keep having our dislike button, to continue to be able to, what was the thing Twitter did the other day when they made it so only people who were added in a tweet could reply to the tweet? Like you really got to treat that stuff like it's the end of the world and that you'll make a big fuss about it because at the end of the day, it's out of your hands. If Twitch wants it off the platform, it's off the platform. We've seen that.
Mm-hmm. And there's really no guaranteeing that YouTube isn't following suit anytime now with policing that kind of language.
Absolutely. I mean, to be fair, so long as Twitter continues to be the hellscape that it is, that's mostly where people are using it. You can always call me a simp at SumitoMedia on Twitter. That's probably not going to get banned anytime soon. But realistically, you're not going to get banned for typing the word simp into a Twitch chat either. But I would say that if you're a higher up at Twitch and somebody comes to you and goes, hey, we have to do something about this negative stigma towards subscribing to a female Twitch streamer, like that's the core of our business, right? You can't use the phrase tier 3 sub and have it have a derogatory nature to it when that's like a functioning aspect of how you use our website. Well, something's gone very wrong here. We need to remedy this.
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
great
they really
point,
are pulling
though.
it from the site. Yeah.
Can't they just say,
that's good.
what if simp just turns into tier 3? Hey, you're a tier 3. Oh, you're answering the phone from your mom, tier 3.
Yep. I mean, that's what it'll become. That's what Twitch doesn't see. Twitch doesn't see that we're just going to find a word that's also going to be reflective of this movement that you've done and just be like, all right, we'll just start calling people Twitches, dude. Fucking simps, bro. That's the ultimate simp move right there. Remove the word simp so that you can keep simping without being called a simp. Absolute Twitch, dude.
Oh. They did stack the deck for the simps, didn't they?
I mean, Twitch is historically, I can say historically, because it's been numerous events where they have just made bad decision after bad decision, dude. So, I mean, even if this was
the DMCA stuff they're just coming off that about what happened there exactly with using music in streams.
So effectively, YouTube many years ago got hit by very big media companies saying that, hey, you've always just allowed full-on movies and TV show uploads and music on your platform, but you've gotten to a big enough point where it makes sense for us to sue you now. It is worth the amount of money we'd have to dump into legal fees to get money out of you. You're worth enough money. And YouTube did probably the smartest thing they could have, and they implemented a system that would block content that had a copyright holder that would acknowledge it. So if you're a copyright holder, you have special tools on YouTube that will use algorithm scanning bots. And the second that they see your music, your footage, your image, what have you, they can block it. And it's fantastic because if they block it, then it doesn't need to go legal. And rather than YouTube being sued for tremendous amounts of money or having to salt of the earth firebomb content, they can instead block content in certain countries or remove the music altogether and pieces of what you have exist. And over time, that has evolved into a manageable system where if something gets DMCA blocked, it doesn't put a strike on my account immediately and I get terminated after 3. Instead, it gives me a warning and I can re-upload my video and adhere to those rules. Or now we even have a button that will let us trim out the 6 seconds of, fine, I guess I can't use the intro to Seinfeld for this joke and give you that remedy. Twitch, however, has hit the same thing. They've gotten big enough or notorious enough, has enough notoriety that the music that has been played on their platform since the Justin TV days is now worth enough money or is worth the time and effort for big music companies to come in and try and get money out of them. And as a result, Twitch, for God knows what reason, because they have the same tools, is my understanding, went with the scorched earth policy. And they went, sorry, you guys have to remove anything that's got music in it. And unlike YouTube, where you can very easily take a look at your back catalog and edit stuff, remove stuff, private stuff is the main thing. Twitch does not have a system for you to private your previous streams, your previous broadcasts. So years and years of content that is hours and hours of, it's live streams. It's not a 10-minute video that you can go, oh yeah, we used a song here. It's the trip you took to the park, right? Do you remember if somebody played music that was audible enough that one day at the park 3 years ago that you kept because you did a cool somersault, but now you're wondering if they were playing music at the food stands? They don't. So Twitch streamers were left to just delete everything that they had altogether, which was doubled up by the fact that people are getting hit with DMCA strikes back to back. People are having their accounts terminated with a 3 strikes rule when they would receive all 3 strikes simultaneously, a la, name a YouTuber that's been banned in the same way. And compounded even more so on top of that, where Twitch servers actually store your archives on other servers that are not available to you. Devin Nash on YouTube has pointed out that even if you delete all of your VODs, Twitch streamers after the fact have still received DMCA strikes because their streams were saved elsewhere, unaccessible to the streamer as a backup for Twitch, but they're receiving a DMCA strike through that. So on top of the fact that a bunch of people deleted a bunch of their VODs from God knows how many years of streaming, it might not have even mattered. you might have gotten striked anyway. So it's just been like bad move after bad move when the solution exists. Implement a private button so that we can do it at our own pace, or use the already existing DMCA bot. Like, you have the power. Just ping which ones have music and we'll delete them. But no, either due to ignorance or inability to implement that DMCA bot, or like they don't even have official records of like music companies reaching out to them. It's just been emails through Twitch saying, hey, we got an email, so you guys should do these things. So everybody's just in the gray on this.
Does this change your approach to anything? Because you are on YouTube, you are on Twitch, you're on all of it. With this stuff happening, do you start to shift your effort or change anything?
So shifting my effort. So if I was at a point where I was full-time and both of the websites were a part of my income, right? Like if one went down, I wouldn't be able to last on the other. Yeah, the smart move to make would be, I mean, it's not hard. Don't play music. Right? That's not that. I already do that on YouTube. Everybody already does that on YouTube. This is a exclusively I grew up on Twitch problem. The prospect of not playing music is foreign to a lot of people because you always have music playing in the background when you're queuing up for League or talking to your chat or what have you. But on YouTube, it's totally, we've known this for years. You don't play music. You don't hum music. You don't use little bits of music for memes unless you know for a fact that that particular clip doesn't get claimed. And it's a case-by-case basis. I know I can use 3 seconds of how many shrimp do you have to eat? I know I can use 3 seconds of that. I know I can't use a single millisecond of sicko mode. Like you just learn that, right? Because you know what gets claimed and what doesn't. I think once the sort of heat and firestorm of figuring out whether or not we need to delete all of our Twitch VODs, whether or not this is as serious as Twitch makes it seem, whether or not this is viable in the future. The play, if you started Twitch today, is just don't play music. Same rule as there always has been on YouTube. Not totally the end of the world. Kind of an issue when video games have music in it. I'm not sure what the play is there, but yeah, that's how you got to go moving forward.
It wasn't always like that on YouTube. I'm old enough to remember when this same catastrophe occurred.
Yeah.
On YouTube, and all of a sudden you couldn't do that anymore. So I think it's funny to me that Twitch is so behind, though, because that was so long ago on YouTube. You'd think they would have, figured it out that they would have to do the same thing, but I guess not.
It doesn't feel intentional anymore. The first couple times you can say maybe Twitch goofed, but at this point it's like, come on, like somebody's making decisions somewhere, right? You guys just haven't looked at how other giant social media platforms have handled this exact issue that you're bumping into. You didn't learn anything from Facebook implementing DMCA robots. You didn't take a look at anything from YouTube giving you an ability to screen your video before sending it to the masses. Like you didn't want to use any of that? Nope.
It can't be a money issue. They're owned by Amazon. I'm pretty sure they have a couple of bucks in the bank.
They've got some cash.
My understanding from the bits and pieces I pick up from the sort of YouTube analysts and Devin Nash and what have you is that Amazon has Twitch as like so the reason that YouTube works and is owned by Google is because Google doesn't care if they lose money on YouTube. They made that very clear from the decade that YouTube has not been profitable to them. They keep it because of the unimaginable amount of influence that YouTube harbors. If they decide that Shiba Inus are going to be the most popular dog in the world, all they got to do is flip a switch, make it so that Shiba Inu videos are the most popular thing, and you're going to see nothing but Shiba Inu videos everywhere. It will be the most popular dog. The sales will go through the roof. People might not even fucking notice. They might just be like, oh shit, dude, Shiba Inus are in. I got to make a Shiba Inu video. Next Vsauce 2 video is the math behind Shiba Inus, right? Very quickly.
It is, actually. How did you know
Google
that?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I'm a patron. You give us previews, I think, maybe. Google knows that. They've dumped money into YouTube for a long, long time, and that's really the only way you can have something that just freely stores this unbelievable amount of video files for free, is because they're backing it. Amazon doesn't do the same thing. Amazon doesn't dump unheard of amounts of money into Twitch. To this point, it still feels like they're treating Twitch like an endeavor, where it's like, we're going to implement Amazon Prime, Amazon Gaming, we're going to stretch into this, but like, if Amazon doesn't reach a point where Twitch is turning into sales for Amazon, right? Because Amazon doesn't run ads. Google runs ads, so YouTube is a natural extension of that. And so long as it gets big enough, they can run Google ads on YouTube and all of their finances make sense and they make money the way that they're built to. But Amazon doesn't make money on ads. They make money not even really on subscriptions, but they make their money on sales through Amazon people buying Amazon Prime. And you can argue that having a Prime subscription gives you a free subscription to someone on Twitch. Maybe that convinces people to buy more stuff. But until they implement a system where it's like, I can click on Kevin Lieber's Twitch and his keyboard, his mouse, the game he's playing, his monitors are all linked below him, and I can one click buy any of that stuff on Amazon. Until they implement that and Twitch becomes a real feasible financial improvement to them, like if they start hemorrhaging money the way that YouTube did for a decade, I don't think Amazon's going to keep them, dude. I think Amazon's got no problem selling them off or leaving or deciding, you know what, this isn't worth our endeavor because it's not going to turn into more Amazon sales the way that Google was pretty confident that it would turn into more AdSense.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. And maybe they don't feel like they need the influence through Twitch. It's just not as valuable to them, I guess.
If it was...
Makes me want to start streaming.
If it was, I can't imagine why they wouldn't step in. Amazon has music streaming services. Why would they not give you the ability to pay an extra $8 a month as a streamer and then be able to stream their services? They already have a system where I can watch a video on Amazon, and if you're also an Amazon movie subscriber, you can watch with me on Twitch. It's a watch party. It's a thing. We can watch it together since we both paid for it. It wouldn't be all that difficult to do that with music as well. But I can only imagine that with all the resources in the world that Bezos has, that if you're not putting a feasible solution into this, maybe the wheels move much slower than I imagine, or maybe Amazon just isn't as invested in Twitch as I would surfacely imagine.
Yeah. Do we have questions, Matt, before we wrap up from our...
No, Sumito is not sufficiently interesting to warrant questions from the rabid audience.
My bad, dude.
We do have questions. We do have some questions here. And they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I'm just making sure we haven't covered the one that, when something starts like, sorry if it's already been asked, somebody's missed some parts, it can get a little dicey.
We did get a new patron who asked a question, so let's make sure that we hit that one.
That's one of your people, Sumito.
Fleep, you're a patron. Good job, buddy.
Thank you very much for becoming a top.
Is he number 69? Oh, is he numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bro.
Yes, actually.
I wouldn't have it. I'm so proud of this community.
You won the gamer prize. You won the gamer prize. God bless you. But that's Fleep's question is actually going to be the last one because it's very, very good. Kino Corner wants to know when is your date with him?
What? You're in Florida, bro. I've got a fear of alligators or crocodiles or whatever it happens to harbor down there. It's one of the two. Listen, if we meet halfway in
so he's got to come.
If we meet halfway in North Carolina at a barbecue place, I'm completely down. But I'm not coming to Florida. That place seems like one big circus to me.
Wow, I'm looking at the chat now to see how he's taking it. I got a frown face and okay. Says Charlotte, it is. So your compromise is accepted.
Charlotte's got great barbecue. I've got no issue.
That's good. That's good. Dan Yoshua wants to know what you thought of Kid Cudi's new album. Since you did listen, you said you listened to it front to back, yeah?
I did, yes. I went into Kid Cudi's album the same way I went into Cyberpunk, where I was like, this man's music defined my stoner teen years, right? So there's no way I'm going to listen to a new album in my mid-20s and appreciate it the way that I did back then. And Kid Cudi's such an enigma because he's such a real gamer. You know what I mean? He's a real creative person. He unironically plays video games. He's unironically been to Street Fighter events and played against some of the best just as a dude. He's up there with Lupe Fiasco in that regard. And his new album was, again, I don't listen to a ton of music, so I don't have a lot to compare it to. I liked it. I liked The Void. I liked the Scott Pilgrim versus the World excerpt that they took. I feel like he's playing to his audience and he knows it. The middle of the album is sort of bland. I'm not a huge fan of vocals and very good instrumentals because I can't really appreciate them because I don't play anything. But I mean, it's solid music, man. It's probably not going to be the number one album ever, but it's a great comeback album. After what is it? 8 years, no music since Man on the Moon 2. I'm happy to hear it.
That's cool. I didn't think about it as a comeback album, but yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? I mean, even though I don't listen to this music, I still see and read and hear people talking about things. I guess I didn't realize that it had been 8 years.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, let's talk about 2020. This is from Elevensies, who had to dip out a few minutes ago, but we'll hear this in the audio. What do you think of the memes of 2020? Is this better or worse than previous years?
Oh, it's awful, dude. It's awful.
Really?
Yeah, unless we're talking about the memes making fun of 2020 compared to the memes making fun of 2019, in which case this year's memes have been great because this year has sucked. But if you asked me before 2020 and you went, Sumit, if everybody was shut in, had to stay home and just like fuck around on Twitter all day, do you think the memes would get better or worse? I would empirically say, of course, why would they get worse? And yet I guess because memes are so tied to like us expressing our experiences in the real world and our issues with, oh, I had an awkward time at Starbucks and now I'm going to, sort of channel that energy into this funny picture of a frog. And it's like you can experience the pain of the person who made this meme by witnessing it. Because that's just been removed because nobody's fucking doing anything. The quality of memes has just gotten awful, man. I mean, it's still not as bad as like, Ugandan knuckles or them doing surgery on a grape, but
I like the grape because it was so stupid that I found it funny.
That's
Ugandan knuckles.
That's the right
funny.
And maybe only way to enjoy that meme. Yeah.
Yeah. It was so ridiculous and valueless that, it's like reaching absolute zero, where if that happens, you're like, oh, whoa, like that's a feat.
This is the bottom of the barrel. We did it.
It's the equivalent of like Bill Burr coming on stage and then just going, joke for 40 minutes straight.
So it was grim. It was terrible. Speen, this is base weight, wants to know what the meme of the year is, though. And I'd like to know.
Meme of the year.
Something had to shine brightly in this dismal
meme
year.
Of the year. Okay. So if I take a quick look at my channel and just browse between what I've uploaded in the last 12 months, what pops out to me? Let's see. Oh,
and there could also be your personal favorite, even if it's not the best of the year. It might be the best for you.
Yeah, this is the funny, or maybe not the funny thing, maybe the totally expected thing is this has sort of been the year of me expanding a bit from just whatever the latest meme has been this week and instead just taking a deep dive into memes in general, just because of how lacking the meme sphere has been. But VTubers has been solid. Cyberpunk 2077 like launch memes have been solid. Oh, it might be Femboy Hooters. It might be Femboy Hooters.
You think that's the best?
I think that's got to be the only thing that I felt the internet really rallied behind and drove into the fucking ground and then picked back up and then started to enjoy ironically. It might be Femboy Hooters. I don't know if that's a good answer. I think that's the right answer, though. I mean, stuff turning out to be a cake, that's fucking stupid. Joe Rogan isn't a gamer. That was fucking stupid. OnlyFans memes wasn't bad. Oh, I did a video on the bottom tier memes that OnlyFans models use for no purpose other than to advertise that they have an OnlyFans. I don't have like a
what
great.
Was the crux of the Femboy Hooters meme? I don't even remember that. I'm so lame.
No, that
what was the joke?
The joke was literally 2 lines, and it was imagine Hooters but goth, and it was like, yeah, why is goth Hooters not a thing, dude? It's called Bombshells, by the way. They have them on the West Coast, and it's like no. But what about Hooters but femboys? And then the internet was just like, yeah, representation. Let's drive this meme into the fucking ground. And then it was like, well, what about goth IHOP? What about tomboy Outback Steakhouse? And like just absurd, like ridiculous, absurd ones, bro. What was the what? I had an extravagant one that made absolutely no sense. It was like chubby YouTuber Denny's with like my face on the neon sign. Like it was ridiculous, bro.
Okay, I do remember this now.
Is 2021 going to be? What are your predictions? If you could buy stock in the upcoming 2021 futures meme market, do you do it? How much do you put into it?
All into offline TV, all of it. I don't know in what direction, but all of my money would be dumped into fucking Michael Reeves, Lily Pichu, Pokimane, and anybody else who steps foot in that house. There is no way we're going to stop talking about offline TV for a long time.
Oh, you're probably right about that. Hopefully it's nothing tragic, especially for some of the people like Michael who we like a lot around here.
I was so excited to see him join offline TV. I felt like a proud father. I was like, good for him. I found this dude when he was spraying fucking Mountain Dew into his eyes every time he fell asleep. And now he's out here making equally stupid robots with a higher production value. I love it.
Well, this is our second to last question. This is from James. What is your favorite number?
James,
I mean, is there a wrong answer to this? If there,
I don't know. Like, I was thinking about it as I was thinking, like, what can you really do here? And I can't decide.
I think he wants me to say 69. But I feel like
I think
No.
James, knowing James, he's much next, like more next level than that. Like he's not going for the simple gamer joke here, but it also means I don't know what he is going for.
okay. I mean, in my case, it'd be 13. That's my lucky number. But
Okay.
13
I don't
is
know if
fair.
he wants like a Mimi answer, in which case, I for the record, I would pick 69 over 420. Like if we're just going for lulls, I would always default to 69.
Why would you do that?
I just feel like it's got,
Like, how do you make that decision between
I
the
feel
two?
like 69 comes up more often, you know? Maybe you collect 69 as something in a video game. Maybe you're picking up 69 grains of rice. But 420? I mean, outside of like on a scoreboard or something, like where are you bumping into that number, you know, walking around? Like I feel like you get
on a clock.
That's fair.
Twice
That's
a day.
where it comes from.
That's a time.
That's true.
There's not a 69 o'clock.
That's true.
Yeah, but you're not going to hit 420 of anything. I'm trying to think of how the units would break down on that.
Yeah, there was that.
And there's just nothing friendly, numerically friendly in its components.
There's that one tribe somewhere that like they only count to 20, like 10 on your hands.
Yeah.
And it's like because they don't really have a need for anything more than that. It's like, oh, how many chickens do we have? How many more, you know, strokes of this paddle until it's on the other side of this riverbank? It's always something you can count on your hand. So like they don't have hundreds in their vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that makes sense.
We have one in our vocabularies and one more chat question.
Sure.
This is good. This is the one from Fleep. So we've talked about cancellation with a bunch of people in the last few months. Just last week, we talked to Jay Schlatt about the perpetual attempts to cancel him, unsuccessful so far. Yeah, it's come up quite a bit in 2020 here. So this is the question, though. Say Sumito got 1 million subs and someone were to look back through all of your old messages and content. They found something that could be seen as offensive. How would you handle the backlash to that? And I love this question because you absolutely need an answer to it. Like your trajectory is stellar. This is going to happen. What are you going to do?
I think it comes down to whether or not I feel like it hurts people. If it doesn't hurt people, if it isn't inherently offensive or like dehumanizing to a large sect of people, I feel like I've done a good enough job of not saying anything too out of pocket. I feel like I'm pretty confident in saying I'd double down. I'd pull a Michael Reeves.
You double down.
Like if somebody tries to cancel Michael Reeves for shitting
Just
on
own it.
sea turtles, I'd just be like, dude, fuck sea turtles, man. Hate sea turtles. I'd go full Michael Reeves with it. Because if I said it then, I mean it now. It's like I don't take back anything I said about Cyberpunk 2077's expectations. If you're upset because it's not running well on your PS1, get a better system. Like that's it. I'm not apologizing for that. I'm sorry. That's a totally acceptable thing to say to a PC gamer. Hey, your hardware is not up to spec. Get something better. And yet when it comes to consoles, it's like, oh, you expect me to just have money for a PS5? It's only been 8 years. Like, no, step your game up. If you care about this video game enough to bitch about it online, play it properly. What are you, fucking stupid? Imagine complaining that you hated the visuals on Avatar. And you're like, yeah, man, it just looked like so much dog shit on my 480p projector at my grandma's. You didn't experience it the right way. That's your fault.
Sorry, it's only been 8 years thing is very funny because it's true. I have seen a lot of people complaining about having to get a new console, and it has been like nearly a decade since the last one. It's like you couldn't scrounge together like $50 a year.
It's ridiculous, man.
Not even
because
it's $1
get
a week.
that like it's an inherently console gamer problem that they have, right? Because if you've never played on a computer, rightfully so, you have never bought a game, gone home, and then your system couldn't run it. That's a completely foreign concept to you. Why would that ever happen in your head? If it's on the thing, it's on a disc, they made it, why would it not play on my system? And yet that's just the way of life for PC gamers. We didn't get Grand Theft Auto 5 for 6 years, and when we did, it ran like dog shit. We had to wait another year for those of us in the know to mod the thing to run properly before we could even get to play it. And at that point, it'd been released 4 times over at that point, you know? But it's just, you know,
it's crazy to me that, people make an issue of this because ports to PC from console, that's a relatively new phenomenon. And I don't think a whole lot of younger people realize that. So like in 1989 or 90 or whatever, when, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game came out. It was awesome on NES. It was a banging thing. But you couldn't play it on your computer at home. The graphics didn't work that way. There was no way to port to a PC then. And it was a long time before the computers and displays were such that you could have a faithful port. And when that started to happen, they were terrible. They were really bad. Yeah. Like just the jankiest version. It's like, the meme where it's like, we have the perfectly good one at home and it's always something that sucks hard. That's what early PC ports of great console games were. And now, the Switch has flipped a little bit, and it's neat to see different people experiencing pain.
Yeah, I can only be so understanding after how many years I've had to deal with, oh, but you don't have God of War. Oh, PC's better. How come you don't have God of War? Oh, you don't have Sly Cooper. You don't have all these exclusive console titles that only exist specifically made for my engineered lower quality hardware. One time, one game exists that doesn't run perfectly on your stupid consoles, and now the world's on fire.
This is a rant that I needed to hear. No. I'm not even a PC guy. I don't have a PC. I haven't had one in I don't know, 20 years. But it's very funny to me. I love it. I did the math. I think it's about 13 cents a day is what you would have had to save up.
Yeah, come on, guys.
To get the PS5. I know that Jeff said if it was in stock, I think that's really the big problem is people can't actually buy it. They want to. I mean, I know Jake from Vsauce 3 has been literally trying for a month. I think he finally got one.
Oh, I was going to say, was that not just a meme for the video? Does he still not have a PS5?
No. So I don't know if I should give this away. I don't know. Who cares? He was going to make a video with it too. And then I think that Austin Evans was going to let him borrow. I don't know if he's still doing this. So the cat might be out of the bag on this. But that was part of it, was he couldn't even get one to talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, I will...
he has a gaming channel and he couldn't...
Yeah, that's crazy.
Didn't have one.
I will throw in the understanding. Like, I'm not just being like blatantly elitist here. Like, I get that the bar is different, right? It's tough for you to release a game where anybody in the world can have any level of hardware on the PC platform, and you have to sort of decide, where do we aim? Do we aim really low and it'll run on basically everything, but then it limits what we can do? Or do we aim really high and make it look and act the way that we want it to, but then maybe less people could feasibly run it? Whereas that's not an acceptable frame of mind to have when developing a game for a console, because the hardware everybody's going to have, without exception. There are no upgrades. So for it to not run on that console is like, well, what were you even doing with game development? What, it doesn't run on the platform?
That's what everybody's saying. It's like, this was supposed to be for the PS4, even the base PS4, and it doesn't work. So what were you doing this whole time? Exactly. And okay, I really like Cyberpunk. So I'm not just crapping on it to crap on it. But even the PS5, I'm playing it on PS5, but it's just a PS4 game on the PS5. It doesn't look next gen. Like Demon's Souls, which I also have and played, looks amazing. Like that game was made and developed for the PS5, and you can tell it is incredible. And there's no way that game would run on PS4. Cyberpunk, the models and stuff, like the design is amazing, but the graphic fidelity isn't next gen the way that Demon's Souls is. It's like very noticeably not right now. And supposedly they're like releasing the next gen version of it. That's like an upgrade for next year. My point is, it's like, you guys didn't make this game for anything. Who did you make the game for? It's not for PS5 and the new Xbox. It's not for PS4 and the old Xbox. It just is. What's going on? It's so weird. It's such a weird situation.
That's the great divider, because if you were going to make Cyberpunk and it wasn't coming on PC, the game would have been developed completely differently, because you wouldn't have included RTX lighting. You wouldn't have included these crazy HDR modes for gameplay that would only exist for the photos that you take. That stuff just wouldn't be feasible on that platform. But because it can run on a PC, and you have a rough idea of 8 years down the road where PCs are going to be, what they can run. If you have the technology to develop it, we're going to have the technology to play it, right? then you can sort of
Right.
do the two things. But then you look at this game that's supposed to exist 50 something years in the future, and you're building it like it's on a new engine. Like, I don't think people like appreciate that. Like, when you look at something like Demon Souls, it's running on From's engine. It's a remake of the game. When 80% of the work has been done, you can focus your development on making things look beautiful in a way that will run on the hardware. But when you have to simultaneously also be able to go, hey, we need to have an inventory system for not just your ammo, but also your cyber mods, that needs to be included. We can't just take what we used to have. We're building what we used to have. And then on top of that, have a different team of guys that's like, yeah, we should have 30 shades for that cyber mod, right? And it's like, for PC, maybe. I don't know if the Xbox One S is going to be able to handle 30 shades, but fuck it. We got another press release. We'll come back to this. Like, it's a mess, dude.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When you put it that way, that definitely does make a lot of sense. And I was talking to Jeff and the Baby Gang about this, and we're both having a lot of fun. Trev is playing it as well. There are a handful of us in the Baby Gang. I think Dojingles is as well playing the game. And it's kind of this thing where it's like, I'm having a lot of fun with it, but the potential is crazy. You just imagine, it's a weird thing to say about a
mods.
game. But you're like, man, like 6 months, a year from now, this is going to be incredible.
Think about how crazy fucking Skyrim looks with mods right now, dude.
Yeah.
And now you have like a fully functioning world. Like, what? Vehicles? Nah. I mean, I guess it might be sort of like a comforting tactic where we're looking at the mods in order to ignore the fact that the game doesn't run super smoothly now. But it's like, God, do you remember in Grand Theft Auto 5 when you first saw the Iron Man mod? You first saw somebody in GTA 5 have the Iron Man suit fly up in the air, throw a pulse, and destroy a building. And you were like, this game's even fucking capable of this? Like, dude, that's what Cyberpunk is now. Base game.
Yeah. Oh, James is annoyed I didn't mention him. Okay, James is also playing the game, and he's soliciting prostitutes, and he wants everybody to know. Oh my gosh, we are going long, but we could talk all day about this stuff. We got to get you out of here, man. I got one last question for you. It's a really simple one. We like to ask our guests. It's just, what is your fursona?
Just uploaded it to chat. Oh, that's not going to work.
Did you really? No, I don't know that extension. What's an extension .yif?
That's the furry extension. Unironically, is the furry extension.
Oh boy.
How do I do this?
Well, our listeners are not in the chat. You know, our listeners right now.
So I
need your words to hear, to paint a mental picture.
So I can't imagine that my fursona would realistically be anything other than some sort of big cat, whether it be a tiger or a leopard or something. But I feel like I'd be something with a mane. I've got this long flowing black hair, beard at this point. And I don't think I could be like a cool wolf or anything with just like a chin mustache. I got to be like a lion or something.
That works. And you have a drawing in the chat of you as a lion. Where did that come from?
I was playing through Persona 4 Golden, which is a gorgeous Japanese RPG that you should maybe take a swing at once you're done with the one that you're slowly playing through currently.
Oh, I played it 10 years ago when it came out.
So I only played the re-release Golden as it came out onto Steam, and like 80 hours into the game and then watching a speed run of it, I was like, this game is fucking magical, dude. And I feel so bummed out for only experiencing games like this now where like the story is just so beautiful. I've always played like Counter-Strike and like competitive multiplayer games where it's like single player storylines were just, it was always sort of like baby stuff to me. It's like, oh, you can't afford an internet connection, you can't keep up with the FPSs. I feel like an asshole now because these games are like actually beautiful. But
welcome to being a weeb.
I'm excited by that. But somebody, upon watching me play through Twitch, I've got a very, God knows why, a very, very talented audience base who decided that it was time. I must have mentioned somebody asked me what my fursona would be. That has to be what it was. And I said maybe like a leopard or something. And they drew me as a leopard with a bit of attitude. And I mean, I can't hate it, dude. I see myself in it, and I can't hate it.
It's cool. It's good. It's oddly not ridiculous. Like it's got a comic charm to it. You know?
I think me as a hyena might be appropriate. You know, that loud hysterical laughing that they do. That's me as an animal. I could. The fursuit might not be as cool because they're all one texture, but yeah, some sort of large cat. I feel like I'd comfortably fit in there. I wouldn't be a turtle or anything. Or like a bird. That wouldn't work for me.
No, I think that works. Look, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out SumitoMedia, SUMITO Media, MEDIA, on YouTube. There's the Spodcast. If you want to know more about memes, we have your hookup. This is the emperor of memes. So you got to check him out. Thanks to all of our patrons for hanging out with us. Thanks for our new patron, and thanks for our people who are just here to listen. We really appreciate that. We're doing this open to everyone now here on Discord every Wednesday night. But if you want to chat, if you want to send us questions, if you want to send us memes while we're recording, you do have to be a patron. So go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown. Join the infantry, join the baby gang, become a $2 tot. Start there. And then maybe all of a sudden you wake up and you're in the dumpster crew. It's happened to the best of us.
It'll change your life.
It will. All right. That's it. Get back to Cyberpunk, everyone. See you, Space Cowboys.
Adios, guys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We'd like to extend a huge thank you and a congratulations to the listeners who made our Save the Babies drive a success. Many new $2 tots and Dumpster Crew members, you have saved tiny little lives. A tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang. Trevsted, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Cat, Isaac, Conrad, James Gallagher, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, and our newest sweet little babies, Dojangles and the Catboy Laterment. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry, Jen Mafasanti, Kevin with an E. Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Monahim, and the newest recruit, Private First Class Ryan Kinder. Thank you to our producer and editor, Ben Webster, and our social media manager, Dan Yoshua. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production.